Hello and welcome to 1 Week, 1 Year, live in New York.
It's Sunday night.
It's a podcast where we watch and discuss film history.
Just keep going.
It's a podcast where we watch and discuss every year of film history in order, starting in 1895, the dawn of cinema, and this episode is 1949. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Ellie, and sitting right next to me is...
I'm the other host, Glenn Covell.
And
we have jobs related to movies, but we didn't mention that.
Wow, I really can't do this if I'm not reading right up here.
It's the end of the decade.
Yeah.
It's time for a nice...
the casual one's the next one. This is very serious.
A fireside chat, as it were. I think I should have like a little whiskey.
That's for the next episode.
All right,
tune in next episode where we where we drink whiskey, but our least watched episodes, even though they have the most clicky, kind of clickbaity kind of hook of our top tens of the 1940s, and then that's a more chill one. This is six films from 1949, some rather serious. Yeah, Glenn, how's it going? What's up?
You're here? That's fun.
Yeah, I'm here.
In town?
Yeah, I'm on the town.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing, is we've already caught up off mic now. So now it's just like, what's new? It's like,
I'm furloughed, which is why I'm here, hanging out in New York. That's okay.
I mean, not a great reason, I guess. But
that's all right. I'm chilling with it for now. I'm a film projectionist. He's a filmmaker. That's the part that we missed. And, we make it our priority, number one priority, not to care about how many people watch the show, listen to the podcast. But I was just noticing that we are just on the cusp of 100 subscribers.
Oh, 100? That's when they give you the big gold plaque.
Okay, I was gonna do this as a surprise actually, but I thought it was gonna be funny to take a really shitty looking piece of cardboard and just Sharpie a little YouTube plaque for each of us for 100 subscribers.
Still do it. Before we get into the real meat and potatoes,
we like to give ourselves a little bit of context for what's going on in the year 1949. And so, right next to me, Glenn, take it away with the news of the year.
The news of the year, 1949. The VW Beetle hits the USA. The Lucky Lady 2 completes the first non-stop flight around the globe. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, is formed. George Orwell's 1984 is published. Siam changes their name to Thailand. The rhesus monkey Albert II becomes the first primate in space. NASCAR holds its first race. The Vatican discovers the bones of the first pope. The Soviet Union tests its first atomic bomb. Chairman Mao's forces overwhelm the Kuomintang, and the People's Republic of China is founded. Germany is separated into two countries, East and West. The first BAFTA awards are held.
And that's the news.
All the news that's fit to speak.
Indeed.
So first we're going to start off with a little short one-reeler. Half a reeler, actually. And that is the first Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote short, The Fast and the Furry-ous.
Get it?
And this is our segment, 1 Week, 1 Reel.
Yeah, classic Chuck Jones, Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah, this thing is great. I feel like we watched Tweety Pie recently, another kind of Looney Tunes character debut, and I was not super impressed. But with this one, I was.
Yeah, it is. It's like it doesn't feel like it's like, oh, this is the prototype of this thing. It's like it is fully formed.
Yes.
It is all the sound effects. Well, not all the sound effects, I guess. More or less, all the sound effects are there. All of the joke structure, the character design. It's like it's exactly what the public image of Coyote and Roadrunner are.
This has got the freeze frame to show the scientific Latin
the
names
fake Latin names for each.
Yeah, it's got the painting a fake wall, a fake tunnel through
on
the wall.
Yeah. It's got a rocket that explodes.
It's got the same shot that they use all the time of him falling, straight
falling
down
straight
shot.
down.
Yeah.
It's got it's got Acme naturally. It's got Acme products that don't work. Yeah, I mean it's just like it's a Roadrunner cartoon.
Yeah,
it's the Roadrunner cartoon.
Yes. Yeah. Also, like I think the thing that I noticed about this too is that if you're to compare it to like even Tom and Jerry, certainly if you're to compare it to the Tweety Bird one, like it is like not even joke a minute. It's like they're coming up with a whole new scenario every 30 seconds, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. Like there isn't a lot of.
It's a lot of jokes packed into a short package.
Yeah. No, they don't really have much to do with each other either. It almost feels like you could just kind of remix these things in any order.
Yeah,
and it's just like.
I mean, I did notice this being the first one. There's a bit of like escalate. Like the first time Coyote chases after the Roadrunner, he just has a fork and knife, and that is his whole plan is just running with a fork and knife, which seems very kind of simple and straightforward. It's like he doesn't have any weird, contraptions. But then there is a kind of buildup of like his attempts are getting kind of more and more absurd.
One other thing that I wanted to mention about this is that I know that it's like part of the whole thing with Looney Tunes. I feel like we've sort of touched on it a bit before, but the tunes aspect.
Tunes.
I think not tunes. Tunes with a U.
Excuse me.
Because, like, something that's really special about these cartoons, which I think you don't always notice because it just fits really well, is how it has, like, an orchestral score that is perfectly emotionally tied to every single gag and every single moment. And so there are parts where, like, he's really deflated and it's just, like, strings and, like, oboes and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a super customized orchestral score for every single moment of these 7-minute cartoons.
It's like I think it's easy to take Looney Tunes for granted because they've been around for so long. And
we don't take Looney Tunes for granted on this podcast.
And it's it's such a like cultural touchstone, whatever. It's like it's very commonplace, but it is like, especially these kind of early-ish classic ones, there is like the animation is gorgeous, the music is incredible. It's like the craft of them is incredibly high.
Yeah, and they've been doing this for a good while now. I find the reality bending cartooniness to be something that is just really special about this golden age of animation. Like, in terms of just the kind of creativity, visual creativity of it, feels like it takes live action film so much longer to catch up to what cartoons are doing. I love cartoons.
I mean, I think live action movies early on kind of were a lot more playful in terms of like figuring out what they could and couldn't do.
Yeah.
And it is nice to see that in animation kind of hold on to that a little bit more. I guess because animation is more malleable, so it's like they hold on to that sort of playfulness and that unreality for longer. I mean, my favorite joke in this, which I think was the biggest laugh from either of us, was the when the Coyote takes out the like school crossing sign and then Roadrunners runs him over and then comes back with a sign that says Roadrunners can't read. Which is like, the logic of that joke is insane.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because it's so insane.
It's totally insaney, as they say.
Well, that's not.
They're
Looney Tunes,
related.
That's Animaniacs.
They're related.
All right, fine.
Same DNA.
I think that's the only other thing that like struck me about this one is like the landscapes. It's got really like just really
right, like the setting,
nice landscapes, but it feels very like other Looney Tunes don't have the like focus on landscape, I guess, that like the Roadrunner ones do.
Yeah, but like the saguaro cacti and the like big
the red rock
everything.
Like mesas and stuff. Like just the like setting of it is so kind of specific and also just really.
It's a Western.
Yeah, it's secretly a Western. But just things that were like, there'll be like a weird rock overhang, or like they use the setting to like kind of create more jokes too.
Yeah, the settings can come from the animals.
A lot of cliffs.
Like, it's interesting that it's like Roadrunner and Coyote is a Looney Tune thing that kind of more or less exclusively takes place in nature and not in like buildings or that kind of thing. But it's also very technologically oriented, right?
Right.
He's ordering gadgets,
Lots of
like
gadgets.
Mail order
Explosives.
gadgets all the time.
Boxing gloves on a extending arm thing.
Yeah.
That's not in this one, but
Like, usually with Elmer Fudd, it's just a gun, you know?
Right. I don't think Roadrunner's ever, or Coyote has ever tried just like using a gun. Sure, he has, and then the gun explodes.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's from Acme, which I can't wait to see Coyote versus Acme. Just on principle, if nothing else, but also because it's supposed to be very good. Also, after watching this, I think Coyote deserves his day in court because those Acme products really are very defective.
Is that what the plot of that is?
I assume so. Oh. It's about a court case of Coyote versus Acme, so I'm assuming that's the
I didn't think about the title at all.
Oh, well.
Anyway, you got anything else on this?
I don't think so.
Then it's
good.
Time for our feature presentation.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
And we're starting off with Kind Hearts and Coronets. This is a movie that it's an Ealing Studios comedy film. The basic plot is there is a man who grows up in poverty because his working
he thinks he grows up in poverty.
The indignity of being working class.
The indignity of being like upper middle class.
This is just like how in Mr. Deeds, like, he's supposed to be like,
right. He's like, as a man from it's a small town. He's a man of the people. He's like he comes from nothing, and
he only has one servant.
Right, exactly.
His mother marries an opera singer out of love and not out of kind of duty to a kind of royal family, and so she's excommunicated and suffers indignity after indignity in the stiff upper lip world of British dukedom and duchessness.
Duchessdom.
And he swears revenge on his family for doing that to him and his mother. And he is, I believe, 12th in line to become Duke of D'Artagnan.
I don't think that's what it was.
It is.
I could be misremembering.
Dascoin.
That's what it
is.
It's
the Dascoin family. The Duke of Chalfont. So he hatches a scheme to arrange the deaths of everyone in the family who shut him and his mother out, in order to become the Duke.
Right. He tries to stage a King Ralph situation. Or I guess not really a King Ralph situation, because he's trying to murder them one by one, not all in one go.
Mm-hmm. Systematically. And this whole thing also has a kind of framing narrative of him starting off on, like, about to be on the eve of his execution.
Right.
And he's kind of confessing to all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a comedy. It's a black comedy.
Indeed. Yeah. About murder. But this movie's very British.
Incredibly British.
Aggressively British.
It certainly, one thing that kind of edges it up in terms of Britishness is that it doesn't have only one Sir Alec Guinness.
Oh.
It has 8.
Yeah. What's better than one Alec Guinness? 8 Alex Guinness.
Alex Guinness.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the more notable things about this movie, is that it is a sort of Nutty Professor style. Alec Guinness plays 8 different characters in different makeup.
Yeah.
A lot of wigs and such.
It's, and honestly, like, I feel like they don't draw a huge amount of attention. Well, I don't know. They put enough makeup on him that it's not like trying to be conspicuous and like reality breaking as far
right.
as
It's like the I guess like the makeup designs aren't that absurd. It's like old Alec Guinness, like woman Alec Guinness, like big mustache Alec Guinness. Like they're not going that bananas with it.
Yeah, they play it kind of straight.
Yeah.
But I think this movie is maybe funnier to British people and funnier to British people in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was kind of, it's charming in a way. I got a couple chuckles out of it. But like, there's an anecdote about Alec Guinness reading the script and howling in laughter, and I don't
know if I can imagine Alec Guinness howling unless he's doing the alien dragon noise from Star Wars, which is not him doing it.
So it does feel like his kind of multi-role aspect is being played relatively straight, which I think it's a different choice than what you would see in these kind of Eddie Murphy movies or something.
Right, yeah. It's not going as it's not as absurd about it as those. But it is like fun to see him kind of like play each different character a little bit. Like it's still just kind of it's entertaining just to see him play that many different characters.
Yeah. These are all of the different members of the Gascoigne family who are being murdered by our hero, who is Louis Mazzini, who was changed to be Italian from Jewish in the original story in order to
not be anti-Semitic.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's interesting. We've encountered this a couple times lately, where like movies have had alterations made to them shortly post World War II movies have had alterations made to their stories or scripts in order to kind of remove any kind of semblance of anti-Semitism. Right. Like painting a Jewish character in a bad way. They're just like, yeah, you guys just went through something really rough.
Yeah, it's like that's like, not a great look. Maybe, yeah. I mean, this movie is what was I gonna say about it? Shit.
You're saying the movie's shit?
No. Oh, just to go back to the sort of thing of like, right? It's established early on that like the mother was sort of excommunicated from the royal family, or the family of whatever, Gascoigne, and it's like the narration is like we were poor. It was like we were living rough, and it's like the footage is like a much nicer apartment than mine. Like it is a like very well furnished, nice like brownstone on like a nice street, and it's like, oh, we were so poor, and it's like, I think that is intentional. That it is like the narration is not matching what you're seeing. It's like they weren't living in a literal castle, and so he's like, oh, we were
cheated. Yeah, I mean, in a way they were cheated, but yeah, I think it adds to his kind of bitterness.
Like he's still living in like an incredibly comfortable, like privileged life.
Right.
Yeah.
But he becomes more bitter because the kind of girl next door is from like a 1% family, something like that, and she doesn't take him seriously because he's not like achieving that level of status. It is very, very much a movie about like British status and decorum and all that kind of stuff.
But it's, as per a lot of British humor, it's like it's really taking the piss out of that too. It's really like it is. I do think there is a level of kind of trying to play that stuff as absurd, of like, why do we care about this?
Yeah, it's making a mockery of these things.
And it is like, as the tone of it is fairly dark and not super silly, but it is like the things that are happening are kind of silly, but they're also very morbid and very like sinister.
Yeah.
It's really leaning into the kind of like, everyone is acting incredibly proper and incredibly like, mannered, and yet it is just the most sinister stuff is happening.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like the movie, starts with an acknowledgement that this character is about to be executed for murder. Mm-hmm. But like there's like a charm to him in the beginning of the movie.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think he becomes more and more sinister throughout the course of the movie. Even after he's murdered one or two people, you're like, this guy's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, and also it's like the people he's murdering, especially at the beginning, you're kind of like, they kind of had it coming.
Right.
Like, those guys are assholes.
But like, yeah, as his scheming becomes, I think, like more bloodthirsty. Like,
yeah.
You watch the characters sort of transform into like, someone with murderous ambitions to someone who's murdered people but still kind of fun to like this like evil person.
Well, because then he starts like seducing the widow of one of the people he murdered.
Yeah. He's kind of just taking every opportunity to mess with people and like be like, I don't know, very vindictive.
Some of the murders are pretty absurd. There's one where someone's in a hot air balloon, which he shoots down with a bow and arrow.
That was an easy one. That's a freebie.
There's one where just, two ships crash into each other, like he doesn't have to do anything.
That was an actual freebie. Yeah.
There's one where he kills someone by delivering exploding caviar to them, which might be the most British way to murder someone.
That's the
most sort of like
very on the nose.
Well, maybe not the most British, but the most posh way to murder someone is exploding caviar.
If you're you're talking about status and all that kind of thing, caviar is definitely an apt delivery mechanism of death.
There's sort of the point where he's murdered his way to this title, achieved the thing that he set out to do at the beginning, and then the police show up and he's like, oh no, the police are here, and the police arrest him for the one murder that he did not commit.
Yeah,
he is unable to prove his innocence of that murder that he is actually innocent of in court, and so he's put on death row, and thus is like writing his memoirs. At the last minute is saved from being put to death, and it's like, oh man, he got away with it. But the last thing that happens in the movie, spoilers, is that they're like, oh, like, we're here to publish your memoirs, and he goes, oh no, and it like cuts back to his jail cell, and his memoirs of confessing to the 12 other murders that he did commit are lying there on the table. Which is a great ending. Like, yeah,
I love that. I love that twist of that he went to jail for the one that he didn't do. I think that works really well.
It is very like clever, like satisfying writing. This movie,
yeah,
which I really like about it.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I enjoyed it. I think that the murders are inventive, and it's kind of interesting because he's like killing these people, but you're also watching him sort of ingratiate himself into their world at the same time. He's like working his way up the ladder, but like he wants these people are like, even though he's related to them, they're barely aware of him. So
right, it's like they don't recognize him. They've like, if they've met, it's like at like a big dinner somewhere.
I mean, it seems like his mother was not invited to the dinners,
right?
But it kind of reminded me a bit of Barry Lyndon, as like sort of like scumbag working his way up through like the social hierarchy.
Yeah, very much so. Wow, yeah, that is actually a very apt comparison. Yeah, I read that this movie had, when it was imported to the U.S., it had a couple of Hays Code edits.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, one of which is the ending. I think they did some re-edit of the ending. I'm not sure exactly what, to show his memoirs being discovered. So it's like fully confirmed that he will be punished for the other murder. Like, there is no possible way that he is actually going to get away with it. They're like, no, in the Hays Code, you have to be punished for murder always, no matter what. And even though that is, implied in the British cut, it is, I guess, not sort of like hammered home as much, which I think makes it better. But I often disagree with the Hays Code, so
I think they're right most of the time.
And then I think the other one was removing the racial slurs, which do come out of nowhere and are just like, whoa, movie.
This movie was just doing fine. It was having an okay time. They even made the movie less racist on purpose. And then
exactly. Right. They were like, oh, we're going to go out of our way to make this movie less racist. We're still going to put the N-word in it.
I was watching that movie and somebody walked in right at that scene. And I was like, the rest of the movie was not like this. This came out of nowhere. This eeny, meeny, miny, mo digression. Don't know why you had to put that in there. But,
right. It serves like no purpose. It's like it seems totally incidental.
Yeah. When it happened, I audibly said, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Well, it's like Agatha Christie books were like had to be edited in the U.S. to take out all the racial slurs. I think like Britain just didn't. It wasn't as loaded. I think over there.
I think also
or something. I mean, I have to assume.
I get the sense also in current day that people in Europe just don't have to confront race issues as often as people in America do, and so they're dumber about that stuff.
You heard it here, folks. Europeans are dumb
about racial sensitivity. Not that Americans are that great either.
I guess it just sort of a footnote that I found interesting is that this movie is shot by Douglas Slocum, who was also the director of photography for the Indiana Jones movies. So that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. What a career that guy had.
Yeah, that's crazy. A couple of spare things in this movie, like the when you're first getting introduced to the character, there's the hangman's kind of coming, and it's his last kind of hanging before retirement. He's looking through the little window into the cell, and instead of staring at the man, he's staring at his neck, which I think is like kind of like a fun little like visual joke.
Yeah, that is.
And then there's also like, along with this kind of like status stuff, there's this thing in the beginning of the movie of like them trying to figure out how to address him. Like, do I call him Your Honor, like as a duke? Because he's this, he is arrested right after he becomes a duke,
right? Like at the ceremony.
Yeah, and so they're like, no, you call him Your Grace. And so they're like going up to this guy who's about to be executed, and he's like, Your Grace,
right?
Which is kind of it's a funny interaction.
Yeah, which is all like the movie is very much leaning into.
Yes. Sort of. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It knows what it's doing.
There's also a point where he says, as the old Italian proverb says, revenge is a dish which people of taste prefer to eat cold.
Yeah, I'm like, is that Italian or is it Klingon?
I thought it was Klingon myself. Yeah.
But, considering this is several years before Star Trek, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it did not originate with the Klingons,
or Kill Bill, for that matter.
Well, at least that acknowledges.
Yeah.
Previous. I do very much appreciate Quentin Tarantino, though, for attributing that quote to the Klingons and not Italy.
Another British produced film.
Indeed.
One of probably the most famous movie. Actually, definitely the most famous movie from this year, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Is The Third Man, featuring Orson Welles.
Indeed. Not directed by Orson Welles.
Not directed by. Although apparently there was a bit of back and forth about whether he did like a Tobe Hooper poltergeist kind of situation.
I don't know if I've ever heard that.
I think he put some fuel on the fire and then was like, nah, I didn't actually do it.
That sounds like something he would do, that he would be like, I actually directed that. And people would be like, sure, I guess.
But yeah, this movie, do you want to sum it up?
Sure. This movie's about Joseph Cotton, classic Orson Welles co-star. What is his character's name?
His character is Holly Martins.
So Holly shows up in post-war Vienna, and we get this nice sort of opening montage with narration of like kind of setting the scene of what post-war Vienna is like.
Like the seediness.
The seediness, but it's how it's like split into different districts. There's like the Soviet district, the British district, the American district, and the French district, I believe. No Austrian district. I guess that's all Austrian. And yeah, there's like a lot of black marketeers and sort of like, shady goings on. And Holly Martins is a sort of pulp Western writer of kind of cheap Western stories, and who's currently broke. And so his old friend Harry Lime is in Vienna and is offering him a job. So he's like, sure, I'll go. And immediately he gets to Vienna, and his friend Harry Lime is dead. Everyone's be like, he died. He got hit by a car. He's gone. And he's like, that's weird. Okay. And so it's like...
Yeah, he's expecting to crash on his couch, and then he ends up at his funeral.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then, like, he like gets kind of into a bit of an altercation with, like, the British kind of head of police. But he can't shake the idea that, like, this is all very weird and suspicious. Like, no one's stories are lining up. He keeps asking people about what happened, and, like, there's always a little bit... Something's always a little bit off. Something doesn't line up. And so he starts... investigating. He like stays in Vienna under the pretense of kind of like talking to this like literary group, but he's actually doing detective work the whole time. He's hitting the pavement trying to find out what happened, who murdered his friend, or was his friend even murdered at all? Which then, of course, we find out he wasn't. His friend is Orson Welles, and he's faked his own death because he is a racketeer who is running a diluted penicillin racket, which is causing lots of child injury or child death and illness. They've got sort of a battle of morals going on, and then the police ask him to help catch his friend Harry Lime, which he does, and we get a nice cool chase through the sewers.
Yeah,
and then he ends up being the guy to shoot Harry, which is a real kind of like turning point for his character of like he's not a detective. He's just like this penniless writer who shows up in Vienna, and like by the end of the movie he's kind of become more of a like hardened, cynical noir character almost.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and like the course of the movie too, it starts with sort of defending the honor of his friend.
Right. Everyone's like, oh man, like this guy was a real piece of shit. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, that's my friend you're talking about, asshole. Yeah. Like, what do you like? And
along with the stories not lining up, like he doesn't want to accept all of these people saying like, don't even go down this road. Like he was involved in the post-war Vienna underworld. He sucks. Just let him be dead. And there's like that doesn't add up. That is the thing that doesn't add up, is everyone's telling me that my friend is a bad guy.
Right.
And so that's like sort of the genesis of the investigations. And yeah, eventually the police kind of lay out like, here is all of the proof that we have that your friend is an awful person.
Right. And then this is like a classic example of like one of the lead characters kind of like, I don't know. Is Orson Welles' first build? I think he is.
I think so.
He doesn't actually show up in the movie at all until like at least halfway through.
Yeah, if not more. Like, yeah, 3/4 or 2/3, something like that. Yeah.
And then like, of course, as soon as he shows up, he's like the most sinister man who has ever lived. He's like so villainous.
Yeah.
Immediately.
It's wild. Yeah, he's like laughing at the petty morality of a normal person.
Right. Yeah, and he has. One of the most famous parts of this movie is when Holly and Harry go up in an empty Ferris wheel, and Harry has this whole kind of monologue almost of just kind of laying out his kind of like moral depravity, but in like a very sort of like,
yeah, it all makes sense.
Right. He's presenting it as like just like a very reasonable kind of like outlook on life.
Yeah, and it's an upsetting scene. It's like he's so scary in that scene.
Yeah, but it's like he's scary in that it is like you can tell that he is like, this does not bother him. Like he has fully embraced his immorality.
Yeah, it's like a nihilism, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's this nihilism taken to this kind of self boosting himself up or like, get ahead from any by any circumstances kind of thing. In particular, yeah, what he says is they're at the top of the Ferris wheel. They're looking down, and he's like, "Look at all these people below us. They're dots. They're little dots. They're nothing because we're looking down at them from far above. what difference would it make to you if one of these dots was gone? If I offered you $20,000
right,
and said that would make one of the dots disappear.
He's pitching the movie The Box from 2008.
Oh, I don't know about that. Like, would you really have a problem if one of those dots disappeared?
And you got $20,000?
Yeah. Would you turn it away? I don't think you would. I wouldn't. And so sometimes that's a disease-stricken child, but who cares? You know?
And I think the other thing that makes it scary is because it's Orson Welles, he's very charming about it. Like, he is scary, but he's not, like, creepy, if that makes sense.
He's menacing his friend in a way, but he's being friendly.
Yeah.
He's like almost kind of, he believes in himself so much that he thinks that he can get someone else on board with his like depraved worldview.
Well, also because they're like childhood friends, so it's like they have a long history together. And yeah, Orson Welles, I do think is very good at that kind of like charming menace, which he's done in a couple other movies. There's like The Stranger from I think like 46, which we didn't watch for the show, but he's very good in that too. I mean, this is one of his more famous roles, I would think. Yeah. Maybe. It's up there. I feel like Harry Lime.
It's Hannibal Lecter, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. I feel like the name Harry Lime pops up in other things. I meant to look this up before we recorded, but it's like that name was referenced in other things. Yeah, I feel like this movie has like we've been watching a bunch of noir movies, especially the kind of like very like kind of detective, kind of procedural focused ones.
Yeah.
And there is that kind of like dark, somewhat nihilistic worldview that kind of pervades noir movies, but I think this one nails it in a way that not a lot of others do.
Yeah. It's like,
and it's not necessarily the movie itself is nihilistic, but it's like, there's just this like undercurrent of real kind of like post World War II cynical nihilism that is like, you can feel like the character of Hollywood is like fighting against, even though he's like, he doesn't have much in the way of like alternatives, but it's like he's kind of still pushing back against this just like overwhelming sense of just like everyone is basically telling him just to like kind of like give up and like give in to just like this is how the world is.
Yeah.
In different ways, where like Harry is like give in to all of your like basest worst impulses, and then like also the police are just like very kind of like are not altruistic at all. They're like very much just like this is how it works. We gotta like make deals. They're very like they're not like presented as like heroic characters at all. Mm-hmm. The head of the police, who's the guy from Brief Encounter, who was such a like warm character in that, and he was playing like the coldest, most like pragmatic police captain guy. Yeah, where he's just like, if I gotta hand you over to the Russians, we're gonna send you to Gulag. That's what I gotta do. Like, but it is like he is trying to like save children. That is his end goal. Right. But it's like he's doing it in like in this.
Everyone's
just, like,
hands are dirty in this movie. Yeah. And it's like the American noirs that we've been watching, or just the other noirs. They just kind of have like a, I don't know, like a kind of dour outlook, I guess, or just a mood. I mean, I think this kind of dehumanization that Lime does is meant to evoke Nazism. Mm-hmm. And so it's got this kind of, Nazi dehumanizing evil combined with this post-war destitution. There's so much rubble in this movie.
A lot of rubble. And like, it's always very kind of, at least up until maybe towards the end of the movie, it's like, it feels, it's like just casual piles of rubble. Like they're not focusing on it. It's just like walking down the street and like one building is destroyed.
Yeah, but like just spending the entire movie in that environment and you're seeing, it's like Bicycle Thieves, another kind of thing that's set post-war, and just how rough it is being in like rebuilding life in a bombed out place.
Which is a thing that I always find so compelling about movies, either about World War II or sort of adjacent to it, that are made in Europe or about Europe, is like how different they feel to US ones. Which I think I've brought this up on the show before. Is like Right, like post-war U.S. is like, hey, the booming economy, like, hey, all our jobs are back.
Yeah.
And in Europe, it's like our whole town is gone.
Yeah, there's a lot more and it's cynicism.
Like,
that's coming
just like
from Europe.
it's a very different kind of like reality to like return to.
It's just the kind of geo privilege of America,
Yeah, but that is something I find really compelling and kind of like striking about this movie is its depiction of like post-war Vienna.
Yeah, and maybe want to read about what the conditions
right, and also
like.
the way that like all these other countries are like carving up Vienna for themselves.
Yeah,
and like none of them speak the same language, so there's all this miscommunication going on there, and there's all these kind of like backdoor deals being made between the different countries to kind of like, because there's we haven't even mentioned Anna, who is Herr Lime's girlfriend, who thinks he's dead for most of the movie.
And thinks he's innocent for most of the movie, too.
Yeah. I mean, for pretty much the entire movie.
Up until Joseph Cotton also finds out that he is not.
She is Czech, but is pretending to be Austrian, I believe, and has forged papers that she got from Harry that then the police confiscate. They're like, these are fake, we can tell. And then they use that to sort of like
apply pressure.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna give your fake passport to the Soviets, and they're gonna take you somewhere, we don't know where. Yeah. Or you can rat on Harry Lime.
Yeah, and initially she's working with Holly to make sure, like, to try and get around the police and figure out a way, like, what happened. The third man of the title is like this kind of big, this big discrepancy in a lot of the stories, which is he got hit by a car. Did he die instantly, or did he have time to say some stuff before he died? He was being carried away, but was it by 2 people or was it by 3 people? And he heard an account of...
Well, he talks to 2 of the people, but then other people say that a third man was carrying a body, and they're like, no one knows who that guy is.
Yeah.
It was him!
It was him carrying, quote, his own body, in air quotes. Yeah. Which just ended up being a guy that he killed. But yeah, like they're... I mean... Yeah, initially you're kind of seeing the police as these completely uncaring, like, kind of borderline villainous people who are not listening to reason when he tells him that his friend is a good guy.
Right. It almost seems like they might be involved in a cover-up.
Yeah, yeah. Or if not like a cover-up intentionally, then a cover-up of, like, who cares? Like, whatever, he's dead, whatever, it doesn't matter. It kind of becomes... like, this movie really follows, the growing kind of darkness and corruption, in a way, of these characters who are kind of, like, losing their naivete, right? Right. Like, they want to believe in a better version of the world, and the worst version of the world comes slamming in to make them have to confront it, up to the point of kind of agreeing to do this sting to take it. Like, he realizes his friend is so dangerous that, like, they should actually participate.
After he has the conversation with him on the Ferris wheel, he's like, oh yeah, he actually is, he's not a good guy.
Yeah. and ending with him pulling the trigger to kill him. Yeah. Which I think, it feels like
at that point he's almost kind of a mercy, because he's already been shot too, and it's like he's like, he can't even escape at that point. It's just like, just end it. The last bit of that kind of like that scene at the Ferris wheel, Orson Welles has his it's not even a big part of the speech, but it's like the capper on it is this thing of like, in Italy they had, war, pestilence, all these things, and it gave us the Renaissance and Leonardo da Vinci and the Enlightenment, all these things, and then it's like, and then what country was it?
Switzerland.
In Switzerland, they had brotherly love and peace for hundreds of years, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock.
Nice Orson Welles cuckoo clock.
Oh, reading. Thank you. Which I mean, I wonder if this was like a direct reference back to this movie. It really reminded me of Zorg's speech in The Fifth Element.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like, oh no, by
chaos.
Yeah, by creating no destruction, I'm actually encouraging life. It's very, very similar type of villain speech.
Right.
But I think this one really kind of like it holds up as like a really solid, because it's not overdone. It's like he's not going that, because you really get the sense,
it's not super villain.
Right.
It's real bad guy who has let go of his morals. This is just
what actual people who have like corrupted morals talk like.
Yeah. Another kind of famous scene outside of the Ferris wheel is the last shot, which is incredible. And
I mean, almost every shot in this movie is incredible. Like, I feel like we gotta have maybe a whole sidebar just about how this movie looks.
Yes, but so the last
starting with the last shot,
is Anna, his girlfriend. She has kind of acknowledged that he's not good, but I think she still has feelings for him. She has not been able to fully just say, this person is not the person that I once knew,
right?
And participate in taking him down.
Well, because they the whole time, right? Like Holly and Anna have been getting closer and closer. They get the sense that Holly is falling for Anna, and maybe vice versa. Mm-hmm. Once Anna finds out that Harry's not dead, she's like, never mind. Like, I'm in love with Harry. I'm all in on this guy.
Yeah.
Even pretty much after she finds out that he's also been selling, diluted penicillin?
Yeah.
To children's hospitals. Like that's sort of like they're kind of on parallel tracks for most of the movie, and then that is kind of like the breaking point where like Anna refuses to turn against Harry, but Holly does.
And when that ends in Harry dying, we have a kind of mirror of the beginning where they're attending not a fake funeral for him, but a real funeral for him.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where Holly is kind of is gonna go and leave the country with the cops, but he decides to sort of give it a try with Anna. And there's this really great kind of shot looking down the road. They're leaving the funeral, and he's standing on the side waiting to kind of have some kind of debrief with her about the funeral and everything that happened, and hoping to kind of like patch it up, and maybe she would understand why he participated in all of this. And he's waiting for her, and like this scene just hangs for a really long time while she's walking closer and closer, and then she just walks right by without looking at him, and that's the end. And it's so loaded with feeling. It's really good.
It's a really great like noir ending, and then it is like unhappy, but it's not. I don't end this movie feeling bummed out. I end this movie feeling like, hell yeah, this movie rules.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, is wistful the word? Like there's like a kind of like,
yeah, I don't know, because even like Joseph Cotton's body language, where he like when she walks by, he's kind of just like, okay, I guess that didn't work.
It's like, yeah, I guess
it's like, fair enough.
I did shoot the love of your life.
yeah, but yeah, this whole movie looks incredible. Goes really hard on Dutch angles.
Maybe too hard.
I don't know. I like them.
I feel like there are so many Dutch angles in this movie. It feels a little unmotivated at times. Like,
yeah, but it's the whole world's off kilter, man.
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
Nothing's straight up and down. It's all crazy.
I mean, I guess I'm on board with that reading, but it does. There were a lot of shots where I was like, why does this have to be sideways?
Right. Yeah. It is approaching like Batman and Robin levels of Dutch angles, where it is like every shot seems like a Dutch angle. And then just like some of the best shadows in any movie.
Yeah.
Just like
noir-y vibes, especially as they're going through the sewers.
Oh, yeah, this movie has a extended sewer chase, which so good. I don't know if I assume a lot of this movie was shot in Vienna on location. It certainly looks like it was. I don't know if that's actually what the sewers in Vienna look like. I'm kind of assuming that that they did shoot it there, because like I don't know, it doesn't look like a set really. It is, but it's like they're so atmospheric. and there's so much like variation too of like different levels and like tunnels and like waterfalls and things, railings, and yeah, the whole kind of like big third act chase through the sewers where there's just like flashlights being shined down tunnels and things, and it's like, oh yes.
It starts in
there's
one of
smoke.
the most like bombed out ruinous areas, and then it descends further into the sewers.
It's great. There's some really great kind of flourishes, I think, too. There's like right before we get the first big reveal of Orson Welles, it's like in an apartment where Holly and Anna are, and the camera kind of like pushes through some potted plants on the windowsill. That I think is like at like 2 or 3 shots combined together. That is, maybe a little unmotivated, but it's really cool, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
Just some nice like subtle kind of filmmaking things, like early on Anna has a cat and Holly's trying to like play with the cat, and the cat isn't having it. And he's like, oh, that cat only likes Harry. And then later that cat gets out and runs to a pair of shoes and like nuzzles up against them, and you're like, oh, could it be?
Yeah, that was great. That's like a little pre-reveal.
Right, but that's like just great, like set up, payoff.
So
they don't have to say
so
anything.
Good.
It's just like, boom, it's
incredibly well done. Yeah. The narrative aspects of this movie are like really tight, like really, really well done. Like, especially, you think about this in terms of the characteristic of a number of noir movies, in particular, The Big Sleep, is just how like ridiculous and confusing they are. And the thing that I kind of like about this movie, I get lost with detective movies a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But the thing that I like about this movie is like one thing is happening at a time,
Right, yeah.
And so like you can really follow along, and it's like an amateur who is solving this mystery.
Yeah.
And so you
can
follow along with the mystery a lot more easily than you could certainly in The Big Sleep. Right?
Yeah. It is a very plotty movie, but it is, I think, having this sort of much more of a kind of everyman character that we're following, who like doesn't really know what he's doing. He is kind of like stumbling through stuff. Makes it a bit more. You don't get quite as overwhelmed with the like, what, how many characters are in this thing?
Yeah,
there is still a degree of like there are still a lot of characters in this movie, but I found it a lot easier to keep.
But people end up getting bumped off as soon as they're not relevant anymore.
There you go. Also, just like speaking of shadows, the big reveal of Orson Welles is also. The actual reveal of him is really good, where he's standing in the dark, and then someone turns on a light on the turns on a light inside an apartment across the street, and that lights up the doorway.
Oh, it's so good. It's like the dramatic moment of that is incredible.
Yeah. There's a really great shot I love towards the end when as Harry is trying to escape. As far as he gets, he's been shot already. He's like climbing up a staircase out of the sewers, and with the last of his strength, he's putting his fingers like through the sewer grate. Yeah, and there's a shot of like above ground, like at street level, of just like the fingers poking through the grating. That is like
his last chance at freedom.
Yeah, it's so good. And then we haven't talked about the score at all either, which is
weird,
very notable, very weird.
It's zither. It's all zither.
Yeah, which I don't know. Zither. I don't think I knew what a zither was before I saw this movie.
No, at first when I first got.
How would you describe zither?
I know that you were not a Nickelodeon child, but what I will say is that a lot of these scenes that otherwise seemed to be going for something serious had this kind of SpongeBob chase scene sort of vibe to them. Tiny Tim music. Just
it's like really jaunty, upbeat string music. It's like plucked string music.
I mean, it's a choice. I think it contrasts a lot with the darkness in the movie. Yeah. I think sometimes it feels like what are you doing, movie?
I think it's like a really bold choice that I think works.
I think in many ways it works. I think it doesn't work well enough that it didn't make me go, should you maybe have not done this,
Right, as opposed to the sort of like, spooky jazz score that is normally associated with noir movies. Is zither a Austrian instrument?
I think that the director, I believe, had been kind of scouting in Austria and heard someone playing zither, and that was sort of what inspired that.
But I think the upbeat, weird music does something with the tone of this movie that feels really unique and feels very much like, I can't think of another like weird noir movie with zither score, because like it would just be doing this again.
Yeah,
it does something that is hard to kind of quantify.
Yeah, it's I remember the opening titles are over. It's like a shot over playing zither strings, and I originally wrote cool guitar string intro, and I was like, there's like way too many strings on that to be a guitar.
I think the zither score kind of plays into the undercurrent of humor in this movie a bit too, which I feel like the way we've been describing it, this movie sounds very dark, which it is. But there's lots of really great moments of levity in it.
It's
too.
fun. It's a fun movie.
It is fun. There's a couple I want to highlight. One of which is when they're the British police are trying to like really nail down like, this is hairlines, like evil schemes. This is why we're after him. This is like why he's such a bad dude. And they bring out a slide projector to show evidence.
Yeah.
And the first slide that comes up is like a rhino, I think. And like the sort of like lieutenant cop, not the lead guy, but he's like, oh, blast! I've got the wrong slide in the projector, and he's got to like fix it. And like that's like a thing like that's not a plot thing like that. Never
comic
comes
relief,
back. Right? But it's like such a. It's not really a joke. It's just like a real thing that might happen.
Yeah.
Of like, kind of just taking some of the weight out of this scene.
But it also like draws a,
because it is a very weighty scene,
because it goes from silly to like horrifying right afterward.
Right. But it's sort of like giving you a laugh right before we're like laying on like some of the most horrible stuff we're going to tell you in this whole movie.
Yeah.
There's also like when they're like waiting like for the sting to catch Harry, like he's supposed to meet Holly at like a coffee shop, and the police are waiting outside, and then just a balloon salesman comes up to the police and is like, balloons, and they're like, get out of here, go away. Which is again like a thing that's like, that's just a thing that could happen in that situation.
Yeah.
That makes it funny, that I appreciate. Good movie. I don't know, any other anything else to say about it?
No. I guess I think at some point Roger Ebert might have said that this is his favorite movie of all time or something like that. I feel like that's how it first got on my radar, was that Roger Ebert heaps a lot of praise on this
I guess
movie.
Another thing I should probably say is that during my youth, my early teenage years, when I realized that film noir was a thing I liked, and I like started watching old noir movies. Mm-hmm. This was was always at the top of like a lot of lists of like best noir movies. It was like Maltese Falcon, Big Sleep, The Third Man. And so it was one of the first ones I sought out and watched.
Have you seen this before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I was like 13 or 14 probably. Uh-huh. And I did not like it that much the first time I saw it. I think I was very much I was too young. I was just like, I don't understand this movie.
Give me the detective
I was
vibes.
like, the sewer chase is great, but yeah, I wanted more just sort of like 40s lingo, and more of the kind of like, I guess cliched or kind of classical stuff. But then revisiting it recently, I'm just like, oh, this is so good.
Another crime-solving movie that we covered is the only, so far, non-samurai Kurosawa movie that I have seen.
Same. Yeah.
Although, I mean, I guess we watched his, what is it, judo movie or whatever,
right,
but same deal, whatever, Like
contemporarily set, crime-driven Kurosawa movies, of which there are many.
Right. High and Low is another one.
Yeah.
But this is Stray Dog.
Yeah.
Which feels like the progenitor of many things.
Yeah.
This movie
Definitely
is about a young, like a fresh new cop or detective, I guess, who is on a crowded train and gets his gun pickpocketed from him. and he tries to give chase, but it gets away, and he is haunted by the things that his gun may be doing after it has been stolen from him. Some of the other cops are like, yeah, you could get fired, but probably not. Like, you're just going to get disciplined. It's not great. It's not a good thing that happened, but, just try and move on. He's like, I can't move on.
Yeah.
And so he becomes singularly driven to track down his specific gun and get it back. So the movie is following him, kind of trying to track down what happened by going to kind of linking into the criminal underworld, and kind of getting to learn more about their ways and find the way to, the way to kind of words to say to, meet the people who deal guns and track down the specific person who has his gun and starts doing crimes with it. And so at first he's kind of haunted by the idea. He's like, this is so embarrassing, and also like, it's really not good, and I should get my gun back. But it ends up being used in violent crimes, and eventually his gun is the one that kills someone, and you can see it just tearing him apart, that this is what happened. So like, the movie really lays on a lot of like darkness. Yeah. It's like twisting him up what is happening with his gun. There's this kind of procedural aspect of like interviewing subjects, and then he ends up getting paired up with this older cop who is kind of is part of him saying like, I'm cynical about things, and it's not a big deal, man. Don't like, we're gonna catch this guy, but like, it could have been anyone else's gun. If it wasn't gonna be your gun that he bought, it would have been a different one. The same crime would have happened. All this. And so we have this buddy cop situation.
Yeah. Mismatched cops.
Yeah.
On a case together.
Yeah.
Who have differing worldviews.
And their worldviews clash in the different ways that they want to handle the case. And, you meet the family right before.
The old cop brings them to have dinner at his house to meet the family.
It's right before something really bad happens.
Yeah, definitely. This movie isn't. I would not describe this movie as a comedy, even though there is a lot of levity in it. Whereas I think I kind of associate buddy cops with primarily being comedies, or at least more than this is. But this does feel like a real sort of like. It's probably not safe to call this the first buddy cop movie, but it is certainly a notable early example of the genre. I think this counts as a buddy cop movie. Like, this has enough of the kind of staples this might be the first time that it has actually like fully coalesced into like the form that we now recognize it as.
Right. Yeah. And similar to The Third Man, this movie is super steeped in post-war destitution.
Yeah.
This time in Japan. So, there are a lot of people who are kind of pushed to the margins of society and into crime that he ends up interacting with. And he's got this kind of like moral uprightness to him. There's this movie, it mentions a lot this phrase.
Après-guerre?
Après-guerre. Which, post-war. And so it's this generational thing of like, you post-war kids, you kind of see things a little differently. People who came of age after the war. And there's this kind of dynamic between the imagined other person who has the gun, and he hears that, he got like robbed at one point, and that kind of made him lose his morality, and now he's going and robbing other people and contributing to the cycle of violence. And the main character, he has also been robbed in a very similar way, and he used it as a reason to, fight for justice and all that. But yeah, like there's a lot of political post-war stuff like we had in Third Man of like, the kind of occupation and rules being put in place by the U.S. in this case.
Yeah.
Like how it's affecting day-to-day life in post-war.
I mean, another thing with the sort of like the parallels between him and the guy who has his stolen gun, who bought his stolen gun and has been shooting people with it. They were both kind of set on their paths by being robbed and took very opposing, kind of reacted to it in very opposing ways.
Yeah.
I think especially as the movie goes on, especially towards the end, it starts to lean even more and more into the idea that like these two guys are like more similar than they are dissimilar.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, or like either one of them could have been the other one had they made a slightly different decision. You know, like had their trajectory been reversed at one point, they could have ended up, you know, on opposing sides, only flipped. And I think that is I mean, it's not a terribly like complex idea to put into this story, but I do think it talks a lot about how like there are no bad people, only bad circumstances. Yeah. I don't know if that line is in this movie, but that is kind of an idea that at least is posited by the younger detective.
Yeah, I mean, I think the perspective of this movie is very much what the younger detective feels. Maybe he takes it a little overboard, but that like it is your responsibility to respond to bad circumstances and not let them drag you down.
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to like rise to the occasion to do good in response to
I think that is like
circumstances.
I think that is like the overall kind of like movies perspective, or like Kurosawa's perspective. I do like how that isn't like the kind of opposing during the family dinner scene, like, you know, old and young detectives have their sort of like opposing things where, right, what are their names? Stop calling them old and young.
Murakami is the young one, and Sato is the older one.
Like Murakami has the kind of more empathetic worldview, but he is also presented as like being very naive.
Yeah.
And I like how it is like he's kind of overcorrecting almost.
Yeah.
And then
it's his first case.
Right. And then Sato is like in the other direction, is also kind of like a little too far in the other direction. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But more, I do think, the movie is more on the side of Murakami.
And I think that as they start working with each other, they start, you know, kind of...
Right. Murakami becomes more worldly, and Sato becomes a little bit softer.
Yeah.
A classic buddy cop situation.
Yeah. Speaking of these two characters, they are played by two absolute Kurosawa staples.
Yeah.
Toshiro Mifune, babyface Toshiro Mifune here as the young Detective Murakami. I've never seen Toshiro Mifune look this not greasy.
I don't know if I've ever seen him clean shaven before.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he's good in this, but like, he is so good as a grizzled weirdo in all of his other movies.
And it's really funny to see him as this like very clean cut, like, you know, a presentable young man who's like, I just want to do good and fight crime.
Yeah, not this apathetic Ronin type that he usually is. And then Takashi Shimura, who is also in Seven Samurai. He's in Rashomon, and he's also in Godzilla, not a Kurosawa movie. He's like and in Seven Samurai, he's just such a like a lovable grandpa type, you know?
He's great. He's great in this too.
Yes.
He's always good. Reliable. I mean, Kurosawa has good taste in actors, I would say.
Yeah. One thing to mention, along with more post-war stuff, is as he's kind of first going undercover to find the gun or the gun sellers, he gets a tip that you kind of need to like walk around in these bad alleyways and look desperate. And
but I like it, the way he gets there. He's like around the police station. He's like, what can I do? And they're like, someone's like, I don't know, go talk to people who sell guns. And he's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Like he's so kind of fresh faced and new to being detective that he like doesn't even think of that.
but he gets a tip from the person in the pickpocket world.
Yeah.
Like, your gun belongs to the gun people. So, like, it's this very... It almost becomes a bit of a John Wicky, like criminal underworld.
Right,
like,
descent into
network
the...
of... Yeah. I like the kind of views, like, little views into this kind of structures of the world of crime in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
like, we see like different pockets. Like we're introduced to like different characters and different lines of crime.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a scene in this movie which gave me very Bicycle Thief vibes. I wrote down
that
this
both
movie
are
is
about
like
someone who is robbed
Yeah.
and then is on a like desperate quest through the streets to find it again.
Yeah. I called this Law and Order mixed with Bicycle Thieves, basically. In its most Bicycle Thievy section, it's like a part that is really like something like 10 minutes long of him just walking around trying to look desperate in these alleys and, you know, crimey areas. And in some ways you should look at it and say, this is boring. Like, why is this so long? And why are there so many scenes of him just walking around silently? But it puts you in this mode of like being on the lookout. Like, who's somebody who might be the one who knows about the guns? Who are the people who, you know, you're analyzing the glances of everyone around him. I really like that scene, even though like on paper it is 10 minutes of him walking around, and not much else happening.
But I mean, that's Kurosawa, you know? You can make 10 minutes of a guy walking around the streets really interesting and compelling.
That is true. Yeah, he's good. He's good at making compelling movies.
I think the kind of like crime procedural elements of this too feel pretty ahead of their time. There's like there's like bullet forensics in this movie of like lining up bullets to see if they were fired from the same gun, which is cool to see. Just like the there's a lot of process in this movie.
Yeah. A lot of procedure.
Well, yeah, I guess true. It reminded me also of Seven a little bit, in that like old cop, young cop, investigating crimes and like sort of like visit, like there being kind of this like somewhat episodic feeling of them like going to different crime scenes,
and also like delving into darkness as they do it, right? Yeah, Sato almost gave me a Morgan Freeman kind of feel.
I mean, Family Dinner, like there's a lot of parallels there for sure. The bit where Sato's sort of closing in on the suspect, they think they figured out who the guy is, and they've like tracked him down to a specific hotel, I believe, and he is on the phone, like calling it in, and we just see like the feet come down, and he like overhears someone talking about there being a cop in the lobby, and then goes back up, and there's this like long extended scene of tension of Sato on the phone, like in the phone booth.
Yeah,
where you're like, he knows he's there. And also at that point, Sato is, you the audience know more than Sato does. Sato doesn't know that he's in danger, but we as the audience do. And there's just this elongation of time, and just like every little thing feels like it's gonna break the tension.
It's a nail biter.
Yeah. Really great use of weather as sort of a Kurosawa staple. Like the rain in that scene is really
okay. I want to talk about the rain actually, because this is, you know, if you want to bring it to another 90s movie, or no, not 90s, but almost, Do the Right Thing. Right, this is a heat wave movie.
Also, I thought of that too.
This is a movie where the whole time everybody is sweating too much. Yeah. They're fanning themselves. They're just like, Jesus, it's so hot right now. Yeah. And then when the heat wave finally breaks and the rain pours down, that's when the darkness starts. Right, like the weather is reflecting the kind of narrative of the movie.
Right. Yeah. Right, sort of end of Act 2 low point is when the rain happens.
Yeah, and it's also like this big release, right? We've been like searching, and it's this, you know, in the heat, and then we found him, but it's like a sad finding, because Sato gets shot, he gets away, and it's like this,
but then.
Darkness.
Right after that, it then plays into the plot again too, whereas he's able to recognize him from the mud on his shoes, because he's the only one with muddy shoes because he's out in the rain.
Stuff. Yeah, I love also that this person, we don't know what he looks like through the whole movie.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of people who have seen him.
Yeah.
We
hear descriptions.
We hear descriptions of him, but it is not until the last moments of this movie
all the
that
descriptions
we know.
are also so generic. They're like, he's a guy in his late 20s. He has a linen suit, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, in the scene right where he finds him, there's like 8 other guys who are also in their late 20s in a linen suit.
Yeah.
Also, Murakami's a guy in his late 20s wearing a linen suit.
Right.
So it's like, that's another sort of parallel thing of it's just like his whole generation is kind of part of this.
They're they're big on linen suits.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that scene where, he discovers the mud on his shoes, that I think is the most tense scene, because you're like, this guy's about to get on a train and get away, and this is his last chance to find him, and he does not have his gun anymore because he gave it away, and he gets this tip minutes before he can use it, and so he just runs to the train station and he's like, who is the guy with the linen suit? Who is the guy with the linen suit? And then there's too many of them, and then you can see how the desperation on his face, and he's like, think. Mud. It was raining. It's such a it's so good. It's so delicious. And then that becomes there. This is another movie that I thought of is The Mist, because this is a movie where you are counting specific number of bullets that are in a gun. And that's over the course of the whole movie. You know how many bullets are in this gun. And so there's this final confrontation where they're duking it out in the mud in a swamp.
The big like swamp like standoff kind of showdown is really, really good.
But like hanging over that scene is he has 3 bullets left in his gun.
Right.
What happens with those 3 bullets? It works so well for that scene. It's great.
Right, and then like Sato doesn't die. He gets shot, but he lives, and so like we get a nice happy ending. And and also like the guy who has the gun lives.
Yeah,
he brings him in. He doesn't kill him.
Yeah, and when he gets caught, the guy, the bad guy with the guy that has the gun, he just barely gets this, the handcuffs on him, and I think that he does this really great scream.
Yeah.
When he knows that he's caught. I think he's like kind of looking at the outside world for the last time, right? He's like,
maybe.
I think it kind of feels like he's like on the ground in nature, and he's just like, I'm not going to see this ever again.
Man, I didn't even thought of that. That is, yikes. Drawing the parallels between even just like the way that they're dressed, Murakami, and the guy he's chasing, I think is kind of, again, part of that, like, I guess I sort of said this already, but like me and you, we're not so different.
Yeah,
they never really have that conversation, but I do like how just like the closer and closer they get to each other, to that confrontation too, like the more similar they start to seem a little bit. And then there's a line, I think it might be during like the family dinner, where Sato is saying like, the more people you arrest, the less sentimental you'll feel. Because Murakami's like, I just want to help people. Like, I don't want to just arrest people. Like, I'm here to actually like do a public good. And Sato's like, that's not the job. Like, that's gonna get beaten out of you like so quickly. And that's a thing. I've talked to people who have actually worked in law enforcement, and they have said things similar to that, of like, the job itself like strips you of empathy.
Wow.
Which is so, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
But I like how this movie is, it's not really dramatizing that strongly, but I like how it's like putting that in there, where it's like, this is what has happened to Sato, is that he's been doing this job long enough where a lot of his empathy for the people that he is apprehending or chasing or whatever has been kind of stripped away. He's just like he's like, I can only do this job if I'm not sentimental at all.
And Murakami has a sort of similar dehumanization of the other side, because he has this like naive perspective of like, they're bad guys and I need to take them in. Right? There's a scene where he says, like, he's being asked about like his feeling toward the other people.
Right, he's like, criminal, arrest.
Yeah, he's like, I hate them, that's all. The bad guys are bad, he says.
Right, yeah. But also, right, like, pretty early on, he right when after he's done his whole sort of, like, walking the streets, looking desperate thing, he finally gets a lead, and is like, immediately, like, police, I'm arresting you. And when he brings them in, everyone else is like, you could have kept this going a lot. Like, you arrested a nobody. Like, everything you're actually looking for is, like, you blew this lead. Right. Because he was just like, oh, I found a criminal. I will arrest them. That is what cops do. Yeah, having them both kind of meet in the middle a little bit more is great.
One little spare thing about this movie is there is a big scene involving, like, catching somebody involved in the story at a giant baseball game. It's like a baseball game with thousands of people at it. Must have been shot, like, partially at, like, a real baseball game.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Like the end of The Naked Gun as well. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like a kind of cool scene where there's a huge crowd, and it's one person of thousands and thousands.
The way that they get him is they, like, call him out in the Jumbotron. Like, there's someone here to see you, like, in the lobby or whatever. Like, that scene was really cool. And it also feels pretty, maybe influential. Like, just, like, detectives trying to catch somebody at a baseball game.
Yeah.
See, definitely is something that I've seen before. But not this early, I don't think.
The Japanese love baseball.
It's true. Speaking of which, speaking of Japanese baseball.
Speaking of Japanese baseball, post-war Japanese baseball.
Hey, there we go.
We've got the Yasujiro Ozu film, Late Spring.
Another
which
famous.
We could do a plot summary of this, but it's really just Noriko is 27. That's too old to not be married. And everyone's like, when are you going to get married? And she's like, I don't want to.
Never.
And that is the whole movie, basically.
I mean, not incorrect. Yeah, I mean, as per this being an Ozu movie, there's lots of domestic scenes of people in houses just kind of eating dinner.
Yeah.
Which I think depends. How much that works for you, I think, depends kind of on just how much you vibe with Ozu's whole deal.
Yeah.
I think the other Ozu movie that we watched from, like, 1939 or whatever.
Early 30s. It was the silent one. I Was Born But.
I liked I Was Born But more. I mean, that was, like, more of like a childhood coming of age movie, kind of.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a, like, you're too old not to be married movie.
Yeah,
which I didn't quite connect to as much.
I think, there's interesting stuff going on in this movie, certainly. Yeah. But it is like it's a kind of meditation on a kind of cultural phenomenon that feels, I think, so foreign to us that it's hard to, like, really understand what they're going for. I mean, like, there's a lot of, like, arranged marriage stuff in this movie, and, like, there's a lot of like, saying 27, can you believe it? Like, and I feel like there's a bit of expectation maybe that the audience has a bit of ambivalence about this, like, because the movie has a bit of ambivalence about it.
Yeah.
And it's like presenting an argument between two things that feel so unlike our own reality,
to a certain degree. I think there are some fairly universal kind of ideas just of, like, just like what is expected of someone, and, like, at what age you're supposed to do things by.
Yeah.
And, like, if you're single, if you're, like, who are you gonna be with? And it's like, just shut up about it. Like, I'm doing other things.
Right.
But yeah, I think a lot of the details of it do feel fairly specific to post-war Japan, which are things that, me personally, I didn't connect to as much. But
I thought you were You kind of came of age in the 40s, 50s in Tokyo.
As a common misconception about me. But I still like. I think the performances in this movie are phenomenal. Like, I think that there's a lot of, again, this sort of feels like an Ozu thing. There's a lot of things that are unspoken or things that are kind of communicated just through like glances and body language.
It's incredibly understated. And I think that like one of the cool things about this movie and about his movies in general is they are about, you know, I went over the plot extremely quickly because
that's like
they're
things
about
happen in the movie, but it's all coming back to that central idea.
It's like the movies are his movies really just seem to be like zooming in on extremely specific real life experiences.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything crazy or fantastical. You're not like finding the love of your life in on a subway in New York. That's for later.
Well, because I think it is an interesting contrast of like two Japanese movies released the same year.
Yeah.
One's a Kurosawa movie, one's an Ozu movie. They could not be more different in terms of like how they feel, how they play as movies, right? Like,
yeah.
The Kurosawa movie is a like pretty fast-paced, like, right, detective crime procedural.
He has more Western sensibilities, I would say.
Sure, yeah.
Or at least Western sensibilities
but it's also
are
like
more
it's
in line with
real
the Kurosawa.
It's very like it's like high drama, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's life and death stakes. It's like really
it's the stuff that you make movies about.
Right, yeah. And Ozu is like, I don't care about any of that crap. Like, I want to make a movie about like what are people thinking at dinner.
Which is legit. I mean, I think that like, you know, like because you have an hour and a half, 2 hours and you're spending however much money on it, you kind of expect to have a certain amount of bombast in a movie, right?
Yeah.
And is that necessary?
But it's I also think a thing about Ozu movies is like they're so understated that like when something does happen that's like a little dramatic, it feels bombastic.
Yeah.
Right? Like it makes a thing where like someone's like smile like faltering is like, "Oh my god. This is huge."
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you can get on the wavelength, then it can be very rewarding.
Yeah. But if you can't, this movie is extremely boring.
Right. And I think I felt both of those things while watching it. Like, I think there were points where I was like, oh man, like this movie's like really, like, is like very understated, but is like really pulling off some like very emotional things just through like a lot of like very subtle filmmaking choices.
Yeah.
And there are other times I'm just like, I'm ready for this scene to be over. I mean, I think like Ozu does a thing a lot in this movie, which I think is sort of a bit of his like one of his directorial staples, where like a scene will happen, often all in one shot, that is like from the doorway, and then the character will leave the room, and it doesn't cut away for another like minute.
Yeah, I mean not a minute, but like,
but it will just like stay on an empty room for like a couple of beats.
And all of cinematic language expects that to mean that somebody's going to come back, or like something's going to develop.
Right, yeah, like a box is going to open and someone's going to come out, or whatever.
Like something's going to happen because the camera is just lingering, but it's more just like, I don't know, sit there and think about that for a second.
Right, exactly. But that's like, I think that it kind of works for that, where you just, right, I think you to enjoy an Ozu movie, you have to really be like, you have to be very like zen about it. You have to just be like, I'm just ready to like watch a bunch of like really calming, or just like not even calming, but just like very slow paced,
sedate.
Yeah, things happen.
This is the thing. It's like I don't think that is necessary. That style is not necessary to make a movie that is about such small stakes and such a subtle personal interpersonal interactions, and so like it is made more difficult because his style kind of emphasizes that smallness and that mundanity by making it in a quote unquote boring way.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I say boring. Like, I don't think there's a single shot in this movie that looks bad.
Yeah, it's elegant. It's elegant brilliantly shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably some of my sort of waning attention also just came about from just like, right. I contrary to popular opinion, I did not come of age in post-war Japan, and this movie is so much about like very specific cultural, kind of like conflicts.
Yeah.
That are like pretty intrinsic to like that time and place.
And it's also dealing with something I gather is relatively old-fashioned even at that point.
Right, yeah.
It's about these... I mean, a lot of the dynamic in this movie is between an old-fashioned perspective and a newer perspective. But it's not even always the younger person who has the newer perspective or the less old-fashioned one. Because, you know... There's a way that you kind of look at everybody in this movie and you're like, I don't agree with any of you. Because the person who is 27 and rebelling against the idea that she should be married is rebelling because she has kind of settled into this subservient, like, mother to her own father kind of relationship that she feels like she's already married to her widower dad.
Right.
That she's like, I like my life the way that it is, where I'm serving you as a wife would be serving, would be serving a husband. You know, there's ways that you could dig into that. Certainly, there's a lot of, there's a word that's for Oedipal, but the other direction. I don't know. Not the other, you know what I mean. But like. There's a word for
gender swapped Oedipal complex.
Right. There's another like Greek figure or something that's like that. But anyway, that kind of deal. So the 27-year-old young person is having like all of these extremely traditional viewpoints that even her parents are like calm down, you know.
Yeah. Like, don't you want to like travel and like meet people and do things?
No, I just want to
serve you tea.
Serve you tea and take your coat, you know?
Yeah.
But then all the other people are like, you know, the way out of this is to get married to someone that you don't know. An arranged marriage. Also, you're quickly becoming a spinster at 27.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that I think is... I don't know if the movie is presenting that as old-fashioned. I think that was... still in the late 40s, a little bit of like, if you're not married by 27, you're it's never gonna happen. Like I think that was still true in a lot of America also.
Sure, yeah, but
I think it's still true in a lot of America today. So, and I was noticing a lot of not necessarily clashing, but just like a mix of like very traditional Japanese like furniture and clothing and a lot of much more kind of for the 40s contemporary, like in the house where Noriko lives with her dad, there is like the traditional kind of like very, you know, low to the ground table. We just sit on the ground and eat dinner, but then they have like a tea room that has like wicker chairs that are more kind of Western style. And I don't really know enough about like the shifting of like Japanese culture in the 1940s to know like how much, I guess, like meaning is imparted through all of those things.
Yeah, definitely Japan has had a complex relationship with Western influence on aesthetics. I've seen movies that like, maybe we've talked about movies that like talk about like wearing a suit,
right?
Like as this kind of, you know, you'd wear like a more traditional Japanese garb.
I think that might have been in the other Ozu movie that we watched. And yeah, so it is like I can tell that there is like story being told there, but I am not I'm not smart enough or I was well versed enough to fully unpack like all of the meaning that is being imparted.
But as you were saying, like there's a lot of specifics about the way the story works that we might not directly relate to, but it gets at certain kind of essential human things
within
it. In terms of like wanting the best for somebody, wanting to see someone like grow out of a way that they're stuck.
Right. Being a caregiver versus sort of like doing what you want to, you know. I mean, Noriko doesn't really want to do anything besides be a caregiver, but it is like, I think that like there's a bit where she says like, I've been so selfish, and she's saying that in relation to, I just want to stay home and serve you and like help you with stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like the very fact that is being, that idea is that she's like, oh shit, that's like really selfish of me, is really, I don't know, I find that kind of heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this whole movie felt kind of heartbreaking to me, and that might be another reason why I feel a little lukewarm on it.
It's because it's like an ambient bummer the whole time.
Ambient bummer is a really good phrase. Like, I don't think this is a bad movie by any stretch. I think it's like, I really like how much it is able to do with so little. Like, that is kind of Ozu's whole deal, I guess, is that it's like, he's like, there's one shot, it's on the floor the whole time. Like, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, I feel like I've seen a whole thing. Like his very observational style of just like, it's very like kind of like everything's wide shot, very few close-ups. It does kind of feel like you're just kind of sitting in the corner of the room watching scenes play out. But yeah, I think like just the story that this is telling is so kind of, and it doesn't feel like it has sort of a big moment of catharsis. It doesn't have like a big kind of like hooray ending. It's just kind of like, oh, and that's what happened. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, along with, you know, ambient bummer, there is just utter ambivalence through this whole movie. Everybody in the movie except her aunt, who is driven in one direction the entire time of get her married. Everybody has
and get her dad married.
Right. Big marriage booster.
Yeah.
But like everybody has this kind of ambivalence to them. So you're watching an ambivalent person like and another ambivalent person who have like are on different poles a little bit of ambivalence, and then an ambivalent movie like on top of that. So it's just like the movie doesn't have a big moment of conclusion because everybody's just like, I don't know what I want. I don't feel good in any scenario, but like, I guess this is what happens. You know?
And there's a lot of like different characters will present like differing viewpoints on marriage too. Like there's like at the beginning, Noriko's like, I never want to get married, but I also think that if you marry someone and they die, you should never get remarried. They're like, that is gross and like indecent and filthy.
Yeah. So conservative. Yeah.
But then also it's just like, I don't care about marriage. Like, that's not what it's like on one hand is like very dismissive. On the other hand is like the sanctity of marriage is just too important.
Right.
And then someone else sort of, I guess, paraphrases an off-screen character saying that marriage is life's graveyard, which is another great phrase. And I think there was like maybe another one that is like someone had some kind of like very direct kind of like viewpoint that they voice about marriage. But you're right. It's like we see characters who are, there's like a widow, there are widowers, there's someone who's been divorced and is like doesn't really want to get remarried, and hates their ex-husband with a passion.
Yeah, she's the best character actually.
My favorite character for sure. And so it's like, yeah, it's not a movie that is really, I think, attempting to sort of like have a strong like thesis at the end. It's not like this is the point we're trying to make. It's just sort of like,
it's not didactic. It's just
right.
like, that's life.
Right. It's like giving you a lot of like opposing viewpoints on one thing, and kind of seeing a bit of a prismatic view, as it were.
Another thing this movie does, which I think is kind of interesting and like leads you to feel a little emotionally off kilter with it, is there is a lot of people kind of accepting circumstances that they don't like with a smile, smiling through something that like is causing them pain. Yeah, and they're smiling so aggressively that like
Noriko especially is like smiling 90% of the movie.
Yeah, and it's like there are moments where it cracks.
Yeah,
and you're like, I don't believe anything that you're smiling about right now. Right. You know, and her smiling is so overdone that like it feels like everyone around her is being naive when they like take it at face value. Like when she's in a situation that she doesn't like, but she knows that everybody just wants her to go along, she smiles, but like it's so clearly fake. And but because she's doing the thing that she's supposed to do and everyone's begging her to do the thing that she's supposed to do, they're kind of just like, let's just believe that that's real so that we can like keep going with getting you arranged married or whatever. And it's a lot of like tragedy that you can, it's just these situations where you just wish you're like, why don't you like pay attention to what's obviously happening here? You know?
Yeah. A lot of baseball talk in this movie too.
Yes.
Which is what we started with, but we never really looped back on.
Yes, the Japanese love baseball, and the person, another character like who, you know, this and Snow Dogs, they have like a kind of key character who you just don't really see for like the whole movie. You do end up seeing him at the end of that movie, but
Stray Dog, you mean.
Where there's her suitor, or her betrothed is
the person she is
set up with.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, you remember you really liked that baseball movie with Gary Cooper? He looks like Gary Cooper.
Yeah. Which now I also want to be like, what movie were they talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Which baseball movie did Gary Cooper?
It seems like it's referring to something specific.
But yeah, it's funny the amount of times that they name drop Gary Cooper in this movie. And also, wild that like that character is never shown on screen.
Yeah. Probably because they couldn't find somebody who really just captured Gary Cooper's essence.
Yeah. I mean, another thing this movie does a lot that I think is another kind of like Ozu staple is it will kind of skip over what you would traditionally think is like a very important scene in a movie. And it will just like go ahead to like what the next scene will be, and it will just be people talking about what happened as opposed to showing it, which I think normally I would find very frustrating, but it's like such a deliberate choice in this case where I'm just like, okay, like that's a choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking back to like Todd Browning, Dracula that we talked about on the show is like, that is a movie that will often just have people like point out windows and be like, look out there, something's happening. I'm like, yeah, show us please. And it never does. And that just feels frustrating because it's like they only built one set. Whereas this is sort of like, it's like not giving, it's like deliberately skipping over like the most dramatic scenes almost. Which is just like, Ozu's just like, no, quieter, more sedate.
Yes, I think the title is kind of neat. Like it's, you know, it's her late spring. It's like, if you think of like, you know, the seasons as someone's life, right? She's stuck in an earlier phase, right? So her kind of mid part of her life, her summer, is being like kind of put on hold for a while in sort of traditional viewpoint,
right?
And yeah, I think it's kind of, it's like a nice little.
Well, it's like marriage could be seen as spring, right? A new beginning, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's the end. This movie is about the end of the beginning of someone's life.
Yeah. A couple just stray things that well, not a stray thing. A pretty important thing is like the last scene of the movie is after Noriko has gone through with her arranged marriage. She's moved out of the house. We see her dad come back to the house, which he said like, oh, like he's like really happy. He's like told people like, oh, I'm like really happy that she finally has like moved on with her life. And it also reveals that, right, like the only reason Noriko agreed to the arranged marriage is because she thought that her dad was getting remarried, which then he reveals was a lie. He didn't really intend on doing that. And then he returns home to his empty house and starts peeling an apple, sadly. And he peels the whole apple in one, you know, continuous spiral.
Yeah.
Which is a callback to earlier in the movie when Noriko is kind of flirting with Hattori, who's her dad's assistant, who's engaged. talking about how like was it like peeling pickles all in one thing is like a sign that you're jealous. I'm a little shaky on the exact metaphor that was being made in that scene.
Pickled radishes, I think.
Pickled radishes is what it was. And Hattori is like, I don't think that like peeling radishes has anything to do with jealousy. Like there's no correlation there, but it's like, right. It's like, that is a callback to a really early scene in the movie. And it is sort of like, oh yeah, like he's not happy. He's feeling it all in one piece. That means he's jealous.
Yeah, I mean the lie makes the dad seem a little more like sinister, maybe like calculating.
Calculating. Sinister I think is too strong a word, but it does. Callous is maybe a better word. Maybe it was like, oh, like he was also just like manipulating her into this thing that she didn't really want to do. Yeah,
and it seems like he is a bit more empathetic to her situation for most of the movie. Like he's a more even-handed than his sister,
right,
who is very on task, right? And talking about like hidden reactions with her smiling through the whole movie, right? Like half of what her dad does in this whole movie is just smile and go,
right,
like that's half of his lines are and like he's just kind of yesing stuff. He's kind of agreeing, but like you can't tell. He's like hiding so much whether he actually agrees.
Right. It feels like that last scene is like one of the only times we like actually see him like without any sort of like affect.
Yeah. I was thinking while I was watching this, even with Noriko, it takes a while. It takes until her facade breaks for you to get a bit. Like get a true idea
like
of who
halfway
she is.
Through the movie.
Yeah, and so like I remember thinking, I'm spending so much time with these people, but I feel like I don't know them. Right. I feel like I'm being prevented from knowing them. Right, because
you're only seeing the facade.
Yeah.
That they're presenting to other people. Yeah. Her dad at one point says, "I'm 56, so I'm nearing the end of my life." I was like, oh damn. Life expectancy, not what it or it has improved somewhat. He does have a sort of whole mini kind of monologue where he, in so many words, says like happiness only comes through effort, which
it's a perspective.
Yeah,
he was kind of saying.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I like the way that scene was written.
Yeah. I mean, what he's basically doing is, in view of the end of the movie, you can kind of say like he wants his daughter to get married, so he is telling her what she needs to hear in order to have the explicit goal of being married.
Well,
and he's like, you might hate him for the first couple years, for the first 5-10 years, but the real happiness is working on it, is finding a way to make it work and finding a way to like him. And the most important thing is being married.
Right. Which, I mean, I don't agree with that part, but like, I do, I guess, like the idea of like happiness is not a like passive state as so much as it is like it's something you actively have to like pursue or create for yourself. That was the part I was a bit more like I'm like this is hitting for me now.
It's interesting. I think it's like an interesting perspective, but it almost feels warped a little bit because it's saying happiness is something you have to work for, like, and finding happiness is working within a shitty situation, not making your situation better.
Right.
Which
right. That's the part I'm a little shakier on. Yeah. Another thing I thought was interesting is there's kind of pretty briefly mentioned that like a couple characters mention how like Noriko is like looking a lot better, and then someone brings up how she was during World War II in a forced labor camp, and had to like carry potatoes home after, or I don't know if it was like a camp, but it was like there's like very brief mention of like during the war her having some like illness, and everyone's like, oh, she's looking a lot better than she used to. She's like, it's sort of implied that she was like incredibly underweight or something, and it's not really expanded upon, but that was one of the few parts of this movie that is like explicitly kind of like post World War II, I guess. Again, is another thing where I'm like, I feel like I I don't know enough about what they're talking about to like fully unpack it. But it at least sparked. I was like, I wanted to know more about what was going on there.
Would you like to know more?
Yes, even though I'm sure it will be a bummer to read about. But yeah, another movie concerning marriage is an American picture, Adam's Rib, a George Cukor comedy in question mark.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I do think this movie is intended as a comedy. It is certainly sort of presented as such.
This is the second time that I've watched a George Cukor comedy and not really found it funny at all. I did not like Philadelphia Story.
I like Philadelphia Story,
but I was looking, I was like, man, do I hate everything? But I love Gaslight. Gaslight's great.
Was that George Cukor?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Gaslight's great.
That's a hard pivot.
But like
right, when he's leaning into things being creepy and upsetting. Great. Yeah. He's trying to make it funny.
These were beloved comedies. Like it's Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah.
This was like a vehicle for them. This was their sixth movie
we've
together,
watched,
I
think multiple movies of them separately. I think this is our first
yeah, but they're known as a duo.
Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn movies, right? And I don't know. They were married? During the making of this. I think they were at least together. I know this movie primarily from seeing the movie poster on the wall at Daily Planet, the local diner-themed restaurant in Poughkeepsie.
Diner-themed restaurant.
It's not really a diner. It's not 24 hours.
Correct.
But back in the olden times, they had all the rooms were themed on 20th century decades, and the 40s section had a big poster of this movie on the wall. And so I recognized it from that. It's
the hilarious answer to Who Wears the Pants. This is ostensibly a comedy movie, but I really think of it as like...
I like the premise a lot. I think the setup is great.
Here's the thing, it's a drama with a cute premise. Right. Like that, it's not a comedy movie. It's like a movie about things being bad.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm always very impressed when like a comedy movie can like get very serious or like have really dark subject matter or that sort of thing, but remain funny and remain threading that needle of tone. I'm always, whenever it's pulled off, I'm very impressed.
I love that when it's pulled off.
I think this is a very good example of like it not quite pulling it off.
No.
Not threading the needle of being like, this is supposed to be a comedy, and yet it is like at times incredibly upsetting or dark, or where it's like the tone feels out of kilter.
Yeah. The funniest part in this movie,
because it's like really silly and farcical at times, and it is at other times like shockingly dark.
Yeah, shockingly, like,
but not in a way where it's like they pulled it off. It does both. It's like it does both, but
it's like Jesus.
It feels like it's breaking the movie.
Yeah. The funniest part in this movie is in the very beginning, I think, when there's somebody who is like about to walk into a room. She's holding a gun. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna shoot the people in the room, and then she is like reading the manual for like how a gun works,
right?
While right outside the door.
It's like pulls out a gun, and you're like, oh, it has a gun, and then pulls out like the manual, and is like reading, how I don't know what she would be reading, and that
take the safety off,
pull the hammer back, put bullets in gun,
that was very funny. I don't think anything else in this movie.
I mean, that feels almost like a Looney Tunes joke. That feels very kind of cartoonish, which is not really something this movie ever really gets back to. Maybe a little bit in some of the courtroom scenes. I guess the basic premise of this movie is Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn are both lawyers who are married, and
to each other.
Yes, and wind up on opposing sides of the same court case. Where Spencer Tracy is the prosecutor for the state of New York against this woman who shot her husband but didn't kill him, and Katharine Hepburn is defending the woman who shot her husband because she's like, womanhood is important. And so then it's like, oh, they're married, but they're against each other in the court case. What's gonna happen?
Yeah, it's a cute premise.
Yeah.
But like the second that the premise begins, it's bad vibes.
Right, well, because it's like the movie is trying to mine their like marital strife for laughs, which I guess is maybe just the thing that I don't find very funny, or at least not in this instance.
Yeah.
Like it's you're just watching like the dissolution of a marriage, but like not in an entertaining way. It's just them like getting meaner and meaner towards each other, and I'm like,
yeah. And like, so she takes this case. She wasn't going to take the case. It's hard to know where this movie stands too, because she is basically like, I believe in women's lib. I believe that women are equal to men. The whole kind of premise is that, like, of her taking this case is that she wants to make sure this is a crime that a man might have gotten away with and a woman wouldn't. And so she wants to fight to make sure this woman, who she thinks otherwise probably should go to jail, would get away with the crime.
It's a domestic violence case where she is advocating for the woman to get away with domestic violence because she's like, equality.
Yeah. And like, and she basically admits, like, I know that this person is kind of bad and did the wrong thing, but like, I'm attaching this external meaning to it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's become a crusade, basically.
Also, a lot of this premise is like founded upon the idea that like, if a man shot his wife, he'd get away with it. And it's like, wait, what? 1940s? Are you okay? I mean, no, clearly not, but we all knew that. And like that, I think that too is a thing where I kind of chafed on pretty early on of like, wait, this argument seems strange.
Yeah, and so it just becomes extremely petty, but not in a cute way.
Yeah,
in like a gross way.
Right. It's like I don't really feel this way about Philadelphia Story. I do think the Philadelphia Story is funny and charming, but I think watching this movie, I felt the way you did during that, which was like, this just feels mean-spirited in a way that I do not enjoy.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, it's like, I can get on board with a mean-spirited movie, but this movie is trying to be cute. And it's like, just
it is
failing.
At times, I think, yeah, trying too hard to be cute too. Where like it's going too far into like farcical stuff that the like more grounded things, it's like, wait, this, yeah, that again, that's a tone thing. Like, if you've already established this is like a grounded thing about like important topics, and then it gets like really wacky, it starts to kind of undermine that.
It's trying to have its cake and eat it too.
I guess so. I mean, really, if you're gonna have a cake, you should eat it. But one of the things that kind of break this movie for me is like Katharine Hepburn's character wins the court case. The woman who shot her husband is not declared not guilty. She gets away with it. I also feel like she's declared not guilty, I guess, on all charges. Whereas I think maybe not guilty for like attempted murder, but guilty for like aggravated assault might be acceptable. But
right.
The movie is like, we don't care about that. And then Katharine Hepburn is sort of caught in a somewhat half joking, like canoodling with her next door neighbor.
Who's been like hitting on her super hard.
Yeah, but like hitting on her in a way where it's like he's hitting on her so much that it's sort of like, oh, I'm just joking around. But it's like
he
reveals like, that he is actually serious.
Yeah.
And yeah, the whole time Spencer Tracy is like, this guy sucks. And I agree.
He does.
That guy is, I do not want him in my house. Like, he is a guy that like shows up to a dinner party and is immediately just like touching everything. He's sitting on your couch. He's drinking all your drinks. And you're like, dude, you need to chill the fuck out. They go to watch home movies, and he's talking through the whole thing.
He thinks he's the funniest
He's
Mystery
doing
Science
bits
Theater
the
guy.
whole time, and I'm just like, you need to shut the fuck up, dude. You're not as funny as you think.
And that's Spencer Tracy just sitting there, just like getting
withering glare against him, which like, yeah.
I mean, I'm used
which
to
was
seeing...
also how I was watching that character.
Yeah.
Just like, this guy sucks.
You know, it's like, I wanted to see this movie because I wanted to see Spencer Tracy in a comedic role because
nothing funny to do.
like my feeling with like my thought toward him is seeing him in Fury,
right,
where he is just reaching the pits of humanity, right? Yeah. And then in this movie, he's just mad the entire time. Yeah. He is like I mean, he's got a good, like, kind of pissed off Mike Ehrmantraut face, you know?
Oh, yeah, good comparison.
But, like,
yeah.
and he plays mad good, but, like, it's...
plays mad good, bro.
He plays mad good. So I would say if I met him in the court, in the basketball court, I mean... The ways that you're watching their marriage fall apart, it kind of ends up mirroring some of the case. I think that, like...
But so, right, the scene that, again, like, kind of broke the movie for me was after Spencer Tracy catches them two together, and, like, Katharine Hepburn is not into it, but is sort of, like, you know, is sort of humoring him a little bit, and then Spencer Tracy breaks in, he's got a gun, and he's has them at gunpoint, and it's, like, a very tense, like, scary, upsetting scene of him, like, with a gun, and like, both of them, like, Katharine Hepburn, like, please, like, don't shoot, like...
And it feels entirely plausible that he would have gotten to this point.
And it's played entirely straight, and then he puts the gun in his mouth and bites down and starts chewing and goes, licorice. And I'm like, no. I'm sorry, that joke does not work for me.
It was a crazy thing to see. Like, it's extreme. It goes to such extreme darkness. And this is the thing, it's like, if it were more cartoony and it went to a place that dark, it would be okay. You know, I think it could be okay.
Yeah.
But like because everything in the movie feels like it could naturalistically be leading up to this guy, like, he's having this mirroring reaction where, like, his marriage is falling apart. It's driving him to murder, you know, or suicide or something. And it, like, when he puts the gun in his mouth, you're like, oh my God.
There's also, to a certain degree, there's a thought where, like, I do think the older a movie something is, like, the less bound to what our, like, expectations of it are a little bit. Where, like, I think we've watched enough early movies at this point to be able to say, like, sometimes they just take wild choices and are just like, oh, that's how you're ending this movie? Okay.
Yeah.
And, like, that was a moment where I was like, this movie's old enough where, like, this might just, like, take such a wild left turn. The movies still do this, but, like...
It seems to have been received well at the time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people were in a weird mood in the late 40s, I guess. The thing that works the best about this movie, for sure, is the, like, just the chemistry between Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Like,
I think particularly in the courtroom.
Particularly in every scene. Like, I think a lot of the scene is them, like sniping at each other, which is a little bit less fun to watch, probably. But, like, definitely the courtroom scenes, and also just, like, their like, banter feels very naturalistic, very lived in.
Yeah.
Understandably. Like, I understand...
They're going for the third man. Or not the third man, the thin man.
Right. They're not pulling off the thin man.
No.
Because I also think, like, their banter in this movie, the writing in this movie is not nearly as strong as in the Thin Man.
Yeah.
And I think the Thin Man tonally is, a little sillier.
Oh, it's way sillier, yeah.
Even though the Thin Man is like about murder and crime and is like also tackling pretty dark subject matter a lot of the time. But there's never a point where, like, Nick Charles puts a gun in his mouth and is like, I'm gonna kill myself. But, like, I can see why the, like, Tracy Hepburn duo became such a, like, people just wanted them to be in movies all the time. Like, more. Like, give us that all the time. Like, I get it. I want to watch more of their movies, hopefully, that maybe are a little bit more successful than this one.
I mean, I think Spencer Tracy, I think he's good in stuff, but I feel like the dynamic is being held up by Katharine Hepburn's charmingness. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think in the scenes where they are happy,
Spencer Tracy that they're happy.
Yeah, I think Spencer Tracy gets a bit more lightness to play.
Yeah,
right. He's playing, like, angry in this movie so much that it does start to be like, you're like, can this guy, like, do something fun?
She's doing all of this because she has this kind of, like, feminist perspective or, like, a political project, like, behind, like, all of the actions that she's taking. And, like, I think in many ways he's like, I'm on board with what you're doing, but you're like ruining my life specifically right now. Like the way that you're doing this is really like causing problems for us. And she, I think, is kind of like so swept up in her project that for so much of the movie that she is like not fully witnessing how much it is ruining their marriage.
Yeah.
And then like by the time that she realizes it's too late, basically. I think that the movie...
Only that it isn't. Because like the stakes of this movie are like, oh no, what about their marriage? And at the end it's kind of like they have this huge fight and then it's just sort of like, I guess it's fine now.
Yet not earned. And also like they subvert it again like right afterward where he's just like, yeah, I can fake cry too. I didn't mean any of that stuff I just said.
Yeah, it's like Yeah,
this movie, I think, it seems like it's trying to say something about, you know, equal rights for women and feminism and all of that. I think that it is maybe... It's
also kind of trying to make fun of that as a concept, though.
It is a bit.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it's saying that she is going too far.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know if the movie is saying that she's going too far... Well, there are some ways where it's like she's going too far with her project, but not her perspective. But I think that gets kind of muddled in the movie because like they get tied together. And so you're watching like there's a way of looking at this movie and going, crazy feminist ruins a marriage, you know? And like that would be an entirely legitimate reading of this movie. Because the movie kind of suggests that in a way. But like there are other ways that the movie, you know, shows, oh, like he puts an apron on and he like, you know, they cook dinner together. That's kind of a nice scene, right? And there are ways that they have this kind of very equal between each other dynamic. They're both lawyers. They're both, you know, really like...
They're a power couple.
Yeah. Yeah, like where this movie stands with women's equality stuff, it wants to kind of like play in that water, I think, but it doesn't,
right, but without really taking too hard of a stance on it. Almost it feels a little bit non-committal, I guess, in that sense.
I think that it inspires some interesting thoughts along those lines. I think some of the more interesting things, like the ways that this movie is interesting are like some of the ways that it brings up the feminist issues. I think that it does inspire some interesting thoughts. And also just if you were to take it as a drama, the ways that you watch their marriage fall apart are kind of like really upsetting and heartbreaking in this interesting, gut-wrenching, dramatic way. But like I think so much else about the movie does not work.
Yeah. I think I wasn't thinking of this while I watched the movie, but now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm kind of reminded of the recent release The Roses with Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch as a married couple whose marriage is dissolving, and they were very mean to each other that whole movie. I think that movie is more successful in sort of like a comedy about the dissolution of a marriage.
Right.
Because both those characters are kind of presented from the get-go as being like kind of not great. Mm-hmm. Like they're presented from the beginning as like kind of mean, not traditionally likable characters, but also they're played by two of the like most charming British actors possible. So it's like they're still very watchable the whole time.
And it's not that possible for British actors to be charming. That's what you're saying.
It's not that possible?
You said the most charming possible. For a Brit, they're pretty charming.
Yeah. For a Brit. No, I'm saying that's like, you know, they're like of all of the charming British actors you could have cast.
Yeah.
You got two of the best.
Yes.
But I mean, I think the strengths of both are the same. Like the strength of that movie is definitely casting. I think the strength of this movie is also casting. Like you were saying, like the courtroom scenes, which we haven't. That's like most of the movie we haven't really talked about. They keep doing the thing where like one of them will drop a pencil under the table because they're both at the same table.
Yeah.
On opposite ends, and they drop pencils so they can duck their heads under the table and like have a silent conversation under the table with each other.
Yeah. And it starts as
always good. Like that, they do that like a couple of times in the movie, and every time I was like, great, I love this.
But it starts as cute, and then it ends up with them to like, it almost feels like she flips him off like under the table.
Oh no, she does. She kisses her middle finger.
Yeah, like I was kind of surprised that
a little
flew,
bit, yeah,
you know?
yeah. And yeah, there's like, I think there are points in that like where they're like at each other's throats as lawyers, and yet they keep like going back to sort of like moments of like they'll refer to each other as pet names in court, and then the stenographer is like, you called her what, Pinky? Like, how is that spelled? And it's like, Y for him, IE for me. There are lots of moments in this movie that I think are very charming. I just think they are outweighed by the moments where I'm just like, nope, this does not work.
Yeah. I felt awful after watching this movie.
I didn't feel awful. I just felt kind of a little bit disappointed because I was hoping I would enjoy it more. There's definitely stuff to be enjoyed in this movie. It's just I found the off-putting parts to be they won out in the end.
Well, a New York movie that is more charm than off-putting,
right?
I would say.
Another movie involving the New York City subway system.
Yes, is On the Town.
On the Town.
New York, New York.
A nice musical.
It's a wonderful town. The Bronx is up and the Battery's down.
And hey, guess what? We're recording this in New York.
Yes, it was an immersive 4D experience. I'm always looking for 4D experiences, whether it be Twisters or watching a New York City movie in New York City. Yes, On the Town. A Gene Kelly musical, Technicolor musical.
Yeah, co-directed by Gene Kelly and co-starring.
Yes. And it's about some sailors who have one day to spend...
They got 24 hours in New York City, and they're going to see as much of that city as they can.
They're going to see an unrealistically large amount of that city in 24 hours.
And also they're going to find some dames to hang out with.
It's based on a Broadway show.
Yeah. Music by Leonard Bernstein. Heard of him.
Choreography in the movie, at least, by Gene Kelly. Heard of him. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I had a lot of fun with this movie.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I think this movie is very dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that entirely in a disparaging way. It's just that's the kind of movie that this is. It's
simple.
Well, it's very silly. It's like really, really just like there are no rules. Everything is a joke. I think the only other Gene Kelly comedy I've seen is Singing in the Rain, which I think they're definitely kind of like flashes of that movie's like goodness. Yeah. In this one, there's a lot of similarities between the two, but I think this movie's much sillier and much more comedic and a lot dumber. But I also think that kind of it lends it this kind of just like very, I don't know, just kind of like casual fun vibe.
Yeah,
that is goes down very easy.
It's a nice movie it feels like a nice movie to just throw on and have a a good time.
Yeah,
you know? I was sitting.
It is such a like New York, what a city movie that is like it's hard to dislike for that aspect.
I was like, I was watching this.
Unless you hate New York City, in which case you will hate this movie.
I was watching this movie just kind of feeling like maybe I'm just a real sucker for just Technicolor, just joyful musicals, you know?
I mean, they're fun.
I can see, I don't know, why a certain type of person gets like really glommed onto this type of thing, you know? Because there's something infectious about it, you know?
Yeah.
Especially with Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly is an incredibly infectious person. I think the thing I always tell people is it's like...
Gene Kelly, infectious.
If you... circa 1916 or whatever. The thing I always tell people who say that they don't like musicals is watch Singing in the Rain, and then tell me that you don't like musicals, because it is impossible not to like that movie. It is literally impossible. And yes, you get some of that here. His smile and his charisma and dancing goes a long way.
I think this movie I mean, comparing it to Singing in the Rain, which is probably unfair to do. It's later in his career. It's whatever.
It's not that much later.
I know, a couple years. But like that's the closest other movie that I've seen to this one, so it makes for an easy comparison. I think this movie feels a lot more kind of like scattershot than that one does. I think this movie is a lot less successful in what it's trying to do than that one is.
Singing in the Rain is like a story with stuff going on.
Right.
And this is just like...
The plot of this movie is quite literally a bunch of stuff happens. Like, 3 sailors show up in New York City and hijinks ensue. But like, I think of the way that like, I feel like each big musical number in Singing in the Rain feels so like integral, and like it's not necessarily like plotty, but it is. I'm like, you can't take any of those out and like the movie wouldn't still work, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I feel like there were definitely at least a few musical numbers where I was like, this one's going on a little long, or like this one feels a little
they start for random reasons, right? Like
it's not like, because that's like just a musical thing where it's
right.
like, I don't need a reason why you're going to break out into song. I know that's what's going to happen.
I think with this one, I mean, I was really on board.
But
for
it
this
will
movie.
will take like long musical interludes.
Yeah. But like a musical number would start, and I'd just be like, "Sweet," and I just kind of kick back and enjoy it. You know,
true. Yeah, but I think like the musical numbers aren't quite as elaborate or quite as like just dazzling as Singing in the Rain, and so
it is hard to compare to a perfect movie.
I think it's right. It's comparing to that is an uphill battle, because it is like Singing in the Rain is very much iterating on this and like making it better.
Yeah.
So then, once you've already seen like the best possible version of this, to then go back to like an earlier kind of version of it, it does feel a little bit clunkier.
It's a little clunky, but yeah.
I mean, I know what I want to say about this movie, and that is I am obsessed with the concept of Miss Turnstiles.
Yes, the kind of like the main
the
kind
inciting
of
incident of the movie
is these kind of like, I don't know, credulous bumpkins who are walking into New York City for the first time and not really experienced
the big city.
Yeah, said with a New York accent of
I mean, Frank Sinatra, who's also in this movie, is from New Jersey, so I guess he has a New Jersey accent.
I'm talking about the other guy, the one that's not Gene Kelly or Frank Sinatra.
I don't know his name.
He had like I feel like he had a kind of a New York accent.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, can you believe it? Yeah. This place, New York.
Yeah, right. It's like, where are you from? You've never been here.
And yeah, so they're in a subway, and they're loving being in a subway. This is their Emily in Paris moment.
I do kind of love how this movie is partially shot on location in New York City in late 1940s. I don't know if it was shot in 48 or 49. And it is kind of, I find it charming how little has changed in certain respects.
The opening shots, I'm used to like really saturated Technicolor movies, right? And the opening couple shots of this movie are just footage of the New York City skyline and buildings. Yeah. Like, and it feels very realistic looking.
Well, it's just like, I know that building. That's what it looks like. Yeah.
And it's just cool. Like, a lot of it's on a stage, but the parts that aren't feel like a really neat kind of just window into
and there's,
another era.
Right. There's like the things that are very obviously different, of like subway turnstiles look different. They use tokens instead of a phone, but also just the way that it is, like the subway platforms are the same subway platforms. Like they look the same. Subways are still just like a rickety train rocketing through a room, like that way too many people get shoved into.
But anyway, inciting incident is they're on the subway and they see a poster for like a kind of gimmicky like a gimmicky like a Miss America type thing, but they have like a Miss Turnstiles, which is
it's like every month there's a new Miss Turnstiles who's the like subway
subway maven.
Yeah. the New York City subway pageant, and they see this and they immediately think this is the most famous woman in New York City.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's Miss Turnstiles.
They're very
She loves high society.
Yeah.
she's the biggest celebrity in the city.
And so Gene Kelly falls in love with the poster at first sight, and he's like, I'm going to use my 24 hours to find this woman.
Right, they were like, we gotta find some gals. And it's like, I got my eyes set on that Miss Turnstiles. And they're like, there's a million people here. You're never gonna find her.
The Miss Turnstiles?
Yeah. And then immediately runs into her, like, looks in the other direction, and she's there.
They meet cute. Incredibly
Indeed.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, it's now they disconnect, they reconnect, and it's just like, they're on a quest. He conscripts his buddies into his quest to find Miss Turnstiles again.
Basically, all of Act 2 is them
on the hunt,
crisscrossing New York City, trying to find Miss Turnstiles so that Gene Kelly can go on a date with her.
But in the process, the other two find girlfriends or single day girlfriends,
right?
And kind of get distracted with their own days
because they hail a cab, and the cab driver is
a lady,
is a woman, and they're like, a woman? But the war's over. Why do you have a job? Which is, I was like, oh boy.
And then she's immediately the horniest person that you've ever met, because
quite possibly
she sees Frank Sinatra and she's like, I will do whatever corny nonsense you guys are doing as long as he can sit up front with me and I can drive while looking at him and not the road.
And also, I'm not going to take where you're going. I'm going to take him home with me. On the like goofy poster for Miss Turnstiles, it says that she loves museums, and so they're like, we got to go to all the museums. And so they go to the Museum of Anthropological History, which I don't think is a real museum. I think it is a play on the Museum of Natural History. I'm assuming so.
They also go to the Museum of Surrealist Art, and I was trying to I don't think that's a real place either.
I'm not. It could be. It could have been in 1949. It isn't anymore. I was trying to unpack of is that like a joke? Are they trying to like make some joke about like surrealist art or not? Or is that like
they did make a joke at some point? They went to actual MoMA, I guess. I don't know. Right, it wasn't shot in MoMA, but it was like they went.
There's a sign that says MoMA.
Yeah, and they make a modern art joke where they walk by a painting, an abstract painting, and then flip it upside down. Like, oh, it's the same. Like,
yeah. Well, then everyone else is like, oh,
yeah. Which they did actually. I just learned this recently. They did with Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings. When her paintings first kind of became, this is a complete tangent, but like when Georgia O'Keeffe,
what if a vulva was upside down?
Well, no. Here's the thing. Georgia O'Keeffe.
It's a face if you turn it upside down.
Georgia O'Keeffe originally painted her paintings sideways. So they were not like yonic imagery necessarily, like they were kind of thought to be. And then like male art patrons and everything were like, we're gonna turn this sideways and say that she's this revolutionary artist who's painting the female form in abstract. And then she was just like, all right, I guess let's do that.
It's like, yeah, sure. I can deal with that.
Like she never really was like fully on board with that reading of her work. And it was kind of like her making a concession to this sort of like patriarchal like view of her.
Damn,
and
dude.
She also, but like part of this treatment was that before she was known as a painter, she was known as a nude model for her, like in the art world, as a nude model for the person who later became her husband. And so like everyone was just like, oh, well, we don't respect her anyway. She's just like a sex object anyway. Shit.
Yeah.
George O'Keeffe.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie is about sailors.
This episode in art history.
And yeah, and so one of them meets a taxi driver, and the other one meets an
anthropologist.
An anthropologist who is
who has a caveman fetish.
Another very horny person.
Yeah, another like absurdly horny character. And they go they're at the museum. There's a dinosaur skeleton. They have a whole musical number which gets into some I would say racially insensitive territory.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, we're talking about cavemen, and they start just like pulling, objects off the wall and doing various cultural stereotypes.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, if we're making fun of cavemen, sure, who cares? There's no cavemen around. But if you're making fun of cavemen while wearing African masks and going ooga booga. That's not good.
And like Native American headdresses and
yeah.
Not a great look for this movie.
It's something that you could just get past pretty quickly. I think.
I mean your mileage may vary, but
legitimate if you have a real problem with it.
But then they knock down a dinosaur skeleton in an amusing manner,
a la Bringing Up Baby.
Yeah, but it's like in an even more like they knock the tiniest little piece off of it, and then the entire thing like explodes.
And so then there's a kind of like that, like from both of those ladies, there's like a sort of like recurring element of them, like one's hanging on to her cab for too long, and the other is like her boss is like trying to find her because she went along with these men who destroyed a dinosaur skeleton. Both, and it just kind of introduces back into the movie a little bit of stakes.
Right. It's like there's like this increasing sense that like the police are after them for the crimes that they're committing.
But they're just trying to find love and have a good time.
At one point, I think it's Frank Sinatra's like, "Hey, look, cops!" Like, book it, boys. And so then they split up. The two that already have dates sort of go off to canoodle, and then Gene Kelly sort of wanders into, what was it, the
Juilliard.
It's not Juilliard, but it's like it's described in similarly sort of like it's like the generic version of Carnegie Hall. Uh-huh. It's just like the concert hall or something. And there he finds Miss Turnstiles herself. What's her actual name? Ivy Smith. He's like, "Oh, you're like the most famous gal in New York." And she's like, "Yes, I am." Not wanting to let on that she's actually just like the face of this like goofy Subway ad campaign thing. Hey, is it an ad? Is it a pageant? I'm very I want to know more about Miss Turnstiles.
We need to start Miss Turnstiles.
Yeah.
We've got Subway takes now. Like we can.
That's if I'm ever conscripted into Subway takes. My take is going to be we need to bring back Miss Turnstiles.
100% agree.
The twist is that Ivy Smith is sort of like trying to work her way up through showbiz by like taking ballet classes and like dancing in Coney Island, and is like not a celebrity by any stretch.
Not just dancing. She's a cooch dancer.
Which is less rude than it sounds.
I think only became rude because of its association.
I mean, it's still lewd, I guess.
Yes.
It's still sort of,
It's something to be. There's shame.
Right. She's not going out of her way to tell people that she's a cooch dancer. But it's like, hey, this nice sailor like thinks I'm a celebrity. Like, I guess I'll go along with it. And then he's like, "Oh, my hometown in Indiana." And then it's like is made very clear without actually saying it that they're both in the same town. Wow. And like had the same teacher in school.
Hijinks.
Yeah.
But
then she's like, "Oh, I have a high society party I need to get to," which is actually just her job.
Yeah, she's like not like maliciously lying so much as like sort of going along with what he believes, partly because she sort of wants to get rid of him.
Right. And also I think is a little bit ashamed. Like is a little bit like embarrassed and sort of like, this guy thinks I'm like big time famous glamorous celebrity, and it's like,
it's like I couldn't be with. I mean, yeah. I shouldn't expect to be with the Miss Turnstiles.
The amount of jokes they get out of Miss Turnstiles is incredible. Because then they go to the top of the Empire State Building. They all meet up. They get chased by the cops. There's the great gag where there's the one guy who's hanging off the side of Empire State Building.
Oh my god!
While they're like leaning off the side, holding him casually to hide him. And then they start hitting the clubs, which are also all kind of like based on some kind of like
ethnic stereotype.
Yeah. Each one is like a different stereotype that it's based on.
Thankfully, they don't dig into those stereotypes too much, because they did the second club they go to is like a Dixieland club, and I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. None of them were a great look, but the first one they go to is sort of, I guess, vaguely like Cuban themed.
I will say, not racially insensitive ones, but we should have more highly themed nightclubs.
Yes,
I am on board for that.
Themes, I'm 100% on board with. When they get to
that's
the club,
what I say in my high school English class.
Like the two other girls break off, and they're like, slipping money to the maitre d', being like, hey, like, get us a table, and also when you do, tell the group that you're doing this for the famous Miss Turnstiles.
Honestly, legendary wingman behavior.
Yes.
Like they were great.
Yeah,
they were doing a great job.
And I think that is also a thing that like maitre d's will do. Like that might be sort of like a cultural misnomer. Like that's a thing I've just seen in movies. But it's common enough where I'm like, this must come from somewhere. Like enough people have had the experience of like slipping the maitre d' some money and being like, hey, like say something nice about me. Man. Say that there's a rule about sharing fully
loaded nachos. Yeah.
And so then he's like, free champagne for the table for Miss Turnstiles. and of course then Gene Kelly's like, oh boy, like I'm the luckiest guy in the whole city. Like I get to have a date with the Miss Turnstiles. Me. But then she has to leave to go to her job, and he's heartbroken.
And then they go on another chase. They try and find her again.
They recruit the cab driver's roommate, who has a cold and is generally kind of presented as off-putting. But the way that like that character initially feels a little mean.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, I was really kind of concerned because everybody sees her, and the instant they see her, they're just like, oh, you're obviously the grossest person, grossest, most unattractive person that I've ever met. And I was like, I don't know, she seems all right, right. Maybe a little tone deaf or whatever.
But it's like, that is kind of like, almost like the character arc of the movie is like, or like the section that she is featured in is like, it starts that way, and by the end of it, it is like the other characters are like, you know what? You're okay.
Yeah.
You're not as gross as we thought.
That's not that bad. I mean, they're kind of just like, we're sorry that like
the last scene between her and Gene Kelly I thought was very sweet and very nice.
Yeah.
In a way that kind of took me off guard a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, they treat that character as such like a simple joke. And I think, and I was starting to kind of feel like, oh, this is a little too mean-spirited the way that they're treating her. And then they flip it around in a way that's like, okay, I guess you can have this, you know?
Yeah. And so they find out that Ivy is working down at Coney Island, so they go down to the Cooch show in Coney Island, and then the cops show up, and they have to dress up as like belly dancers in drag to try to escape, which leads to some real kind of Scooby-Doo-esque hijinks of like running through the stage as like police chase after them. That whole section felt very like vaudevillian to me.
Yeah.
In a good way. And they like hide in the back of a van, which ends up being the like shore police for the Navy. And they're like, we got to take these guys back to the boat. Their shore leave's up. But then.
And also put them in the brig.
Right.
Because they've been up to no good.
And then the cops are about to arrest the three gals, but they're like, we were just trying to have fun, officers.
Don't you believe in love?
Yeah, and they're like, fine. Let's all like pass a hat around and gather money to like pay their bail. And so then the three gals drive off to the Brooklyn Navy Yard to say a final goodbye to the three fellas. And we get a nice little ending. And then also, I like how, there's like the beginning of the movie where they come off the boat and they're like, New York! And then a like almost identical group of sailors get off as they're going on the boat, gets off the boat. And going, oh boy, New York, what a town!
And the cycle begins again.
The circle of life. The circle of Fleet Week. Fun, silly, musical time. I enjoyed watching it.
Glenn, what was your favorite?
My favorite film that we watched for 1949 was, for sure, The Third Man. I mean, it's too up my alley not to be.
Right.
Although, Stray Dog gives it a good run for its money.
Yeah, as we're in the noir era, I feel like you're having to encounter that a lot, where it's like, this is too much my thing for me to not say that.
Yeah. To protect my brand.
Yeah.
Which is not, I mean, that's not why it's my favorite. I legitimately think that was my favorite movie that we watched.
It's a high quality movie.
Yeah. But yeah, Stray Dog, also very, very good.
Okay. I'm really torn because I think I enjoyed watching On the Town the most. I had a blast watching that movie. But, I mean, probably The Third Man is just the best movie. And Stray Dog also was quite good. But, yeah. So I'll answer the same thing as you, but also highlighting that I thought that On the Town was a fun time.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that about does it, people of the internet. For 1 Week, 1 Year, 1949. And guess what? That also does it for the 1940s. The 40s are over. Yeah.
What a time it's been.
Another decade in the can.
Yeah.
And it's time to...
What a terrible decade for humanity, and yet pretty good decade for movies.
Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Stick around for our next episode, which will be our 1940s wrap-up. Where we will, normally we try and stay very professional here on this podcast, but on the Decade in Review episodes, we'll loosen up and have a little era-appropriate cocktail, and then we will also count down our top 10 favorite movies of the 1940s.
It's gonna be tough, I think, I don't know. I mean, I am looking forward to it because it'll be fun to, like, rank movies, but I think it's going to be difficult.
You heard it here first. Watch Glenn struggle on air. I already know by far what my favorite one is.
Interesting. Well,
yes.
Don't say it.
Yes. We'll save that for next episode. Yeah. Anyway.
Preserve the mystery.
Thank you all for listening, and thank you all for sticking with us through another decade. On to the next one. And Glenn, I'm seeing you right now, but I'll see you next year.
Indeed. Good night.
Miss Turnstile, what is that?
Never mind. Just make a fuss. Go ahead.
Oh, Miss Turnstiles, we are so proud and happy to have you here. Please come in. Our humble establishment welcomes you with wide open doors.